Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 64 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. On this episode, we are continuing our horror from around the world, as we have pretty much been doing all year long. This episode, we will be covering Polish horror. Um, I am one half of your hosting team this evening, Mr. Smokeshow Crawford, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy. I'm fully vaxxed, boosted, and waxed, and ready to climax. And if you can, please get me wet, feed me after midnight, and I am the man with the glorious beard, aka Scott Housen. And with me, as always, is
I forgot I was here. Heather Powell coming to you today from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. If you listen to our last episode and you listen to this episode, you can tell that I some spoilers, still have a cold. But it's finally exiting my body. But man,
I exercise the demon.
Exercise the demon. That's what happened. We had
this Heather is clean.
No, that's definitely not true. But I've had a nasty cold for the last couple of weeks, but finally I feel like I'm finally turning a fucking corner, which is good because spooky season's around the corner and there's nothing I would hate more than being sick for spooky season. So hashtag thank God. A shout out to Dale Storm yesterday, who messaged me asking about other podcasts that I'm on. And in true Friday Nightmares fashion, I'm going to talk about my other podcast, even though Scott's here.
Here we go. Miss Popular.
Oh, please. Let's not even get started, Scotty. Let's not go there. All right? We know why. We'll get to it later. But anyway, Miss Popular. One friend, Scotty.
She's like gotta talk about her friend that messages her about the shows. We got a popular one over here, folks.
First of all, Dale listens to both of us. Okay. And Dale took his daughter to school, like big school, like away school yesterday. So congratulations to Dale's daughter. Anyway, Dale messaged me. And at first, because Dale has never messaged me, the first message was like, "Hey, Heather, how's it going?" And I was like, "Is this a hacker or is this actually Dale?" And then he was like, "So I've been listening to Friday Nightmares." I'm like, no hacker would listen to Friday Nightmares. It's got to be Dale. So I let Dale know about Summer Party Massacre. So listen at your own risk, Dale. But thank you so much for reaching out to me and supporting Scott and I on this show.
Yeah. Thank you, Dale. I just got to give Heather shit just because it's fun.
Well, no. And you know what? We'll get to reasons why that's not true, because it doesn't matter what I do. You're still the most popular one, even with random strangers in Australia that know Tim Davidson still want to talk to you more than me. Like, what is it about you? I was walking Mickey the other night and I was like, why does everyone fucking love Scott so much? Like, honestly, like I never thought I would do a podcast with someone and be so like not in the limelight. Like, Scott, you shine bright. There's a song by the Saturdays called Ego, and I'm going to lip sync it to you one day. It starts off with, "We used to go with each other, looking out for each other. I thought you knew better, but look at you. You used to be so laid back. You used to keep it so cool. I loved you because of all that. That's the truth. And now you want to pretend you're a superstar."
Oh, I was gonna say, like, all teasing aside though, like, I have to pick on you a lot because I mean, you are the one that gets the messages, and I am the one.
That's because I have breasts, but that's the only reason why.
Well, no, I was gonna say, like, even the other podcasters will message you and stuff like that, like even stuff about me, which is kind of weird that they don't message me. But
well, no one wants to know. You're a man of mystery. That's why.
No one wants to like just be near the sexiness, I guess.
Like if they knew what you got up to, they would probably not want to be friends with you anymore.
Or they'd be too turned on.
Or that, or disgusted. It's basically like Solo. That's Scott's life.
Manja.
That's what he does on a Saturday night. He's like, "Oh, this has been a great first date. I got a movie I want you to act out with me." But mainly the third act only.
Yeah.
Anyway, for anyone that's watched Solo, no, Scott doesn't actually like to do that. That's just something that we're
the pooping part, maybe.
Oh no, gosh. I remember I got through that scene only because yourself and Brandon from the Exploding Heads movie podcast told me I couldn't.
Right. And the only reason we said you couldn't is because you never wanted to watch Human Centipede just because of the idea of that.
Yes, I still haven't. Just so we're clear, I still haven't. Still haven't watched Human Centipede. And I won't. So stop pressuring me, Scott.
We're gonna watch that for our podcast.
Oh, we should watch it when you come out to visit. So
yes,
Scott and I have planned our next. Like, I think we act like when Scott and I get together, it's like the coming of the world. Like we're ambassadors of peace for each of our countries when we get together. It's so special. So even though we only live like 4 hours apart, it's a bitch.
It is, especially when gas prices are high as they are.
Right. Well, and I think it'd be easier if we lived in different countries, but there's an exchange factor that we need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, it's the same country. There's an exchange factor we need to think about. But Scott's birthday is in early October. And he's doing something else for his birthday. But towards the end of October, I really wanted to take him on two things. One being a ghost walk, and another thing being a place called Haunted Manor, which exists in Niagara Falls, Canada. And I can't remember why we didn't do it last year.
Because I threw my back out, and
that's what it was. Okay.
You were you were worried about me throwing my back out because my back was acting weird, and then in October I did throw my back out on my freaking birthday.
That's right. Okay. Yes. Okay. So anyway, hopefully he won't do that now.
Yeah, I'll say we'll see what happens.
It's in God's hands now, Scott.
Yeah.
But he is going to come out, and we are going to go on a ghost tour on Friday, October 28th. At night, we're gonna do a downtown Hamilton one, and the Saturday we are going to go to Haunted Manor in Niagara Falls, Canada, and that will be Scott's birthday gift from me, is time with me, and basically us making a fucking found footage film.
The greatest gift I could ever ask for.
But doesn't this not sound like a found footage plot?
Oh, it totally does.
Two horror podcasters that are going to spend Halloween weekend doing spooky things. It's like the House That October Built, only the Target version of it.
Yeah, right.
The dollar store version of it, honestly. But anyway, I've been sick. I haven't done much except for feel like shit. So I don't know, Scott, what have you done? You probably had more excitement than I have recently.
Oh, yeah, say mine. My couple of last 2 weeks hasn't been really crazy exciting. I mean, played Magic one night with my cousin and my buddies. Mandy and I ended up hanging out all day, and we ended up what did we ended up doing? We ended up watching the new Beavis and Butthead, which for every Beavis and Butthead fan that is out there, the new series, fucking hilarious.
So for everyone in their 40s that needs aspirin, check out Beavis and Butthead.
And I do have to say, I love it because on Beavis and Butthead, they would always do like the they're gonna watch a music video from MTV and make fun of it.
Yeah, I remember they did that back in the day. Yeah.
They have updated it, so now they're watching YouTube and TikTok videos.
Oh, that is kind of clever.
And then they, of course, will still occasionally watch the occasional YouTube music video. So like Post Malone was one of them. But no, it's like all these YouTube and different things. And oh my God, I was in fucking tears with some of the shit they're saying. And it is, yeah. So if you are a fan of Beavis and Butthead from back in the day and excited that they came out with a new series, definitely recommend checking it out. I think there's 4 episodes out now, and every one of them has been fucking great.
I was never a fan. I could take it in small small doses.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit through a full episode.
I was like that when it first came out, and then my brother was obsessed with it, so I got stuck watching it a lot, and it kind of wore on me. And then now it's something I just absolutely adore and have fun with. I even went and seen Beavis and Butthead do America in theaters and shit like that.
Is it because it takes you back to your youth?
It takes me back to my youth, and because I'm also about where Beavis and Butthead are.
Well, it's cool because Scott, parents just don't fucking get it, and we're gonna talk about that in our What's New section. But sometimes you just gotta fucking break stuff,
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
But yeah, other than that, I think I ended up taking my cousin all the way out, 2 hours away to drop off his
him in
car.
The field.
Yeah, had to put him out of his misery.
That was my cousin. I'll do it.
That was a freaking nightmare drive because I had to meet up with him at work, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be out by 7-ish. So just chill in the parking lot for a few minutes, and we can head out from there." I'm like, "Okay." I get there around 7-ish. He goes, "All right, just waiting for these guys to finish up." And next thing you know, his boss tells him he's got to stay till 8:30. So I had to sit in that parking lot for an hour and 20. He felt awful. But then we finally left. I followed him, had to go through Detroit in the middle of the night. I'm going, okay, it shouldn't be too bad. It's the middle of the night.
That's the safest time to go through Detroit.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the expressway, so I don't think there's going to be much happening there.
Yes.
But I'm like, traffic won't be nearly as insane as you and I went to see wrestling.
Sorry, I'm still laughing at you driving through Detroit in the middle of the night.
Crazy ass white boy.
Be fine. You like roll down your window, cruising slowly.
But holy hell, the GPS took us to the most congested, construction-filled area possible, where we were at standstills.
Ontario? No, just kidding.
Yeah. My cousin, I almost watched my cousin die, seeing a semi truck decide to cross 4 lanes at one time, almost sideswiping him. And
oh man,
I had we were both calling each other going, holy fuck. And finally got to the destination. And then our way back home wasn't bad, but it ended up being like a 6-hour event that I had to deal with. So it was long, but it was,
I like how you can take the most mundane tasks and turn them into something interesting that you could talk about in our podcast.
Right. I mean, you gotta have some filler,
Right. Oh yeah, we're all about the filler here on Friday Nightmares.
And I love to be filled up.
That's right.
Filled up to the top, because you know what rises to the top? The cream. Cream always rises to the top.
It sure does. I feel it sometimes coming out of my throat after a busy Saturday night. Anyway.
Oh dear.
This Lord. Is why I don't want my 12-year-old nephew listening to this podcast. Auntie Heather, what did you mean by cream coming out of your throat?
Oh, I'm just talking about. Talking about an old '80s wrestler. Right. Don't worry about it.
No, give him another year, and he'll be like, "I know what you meant by cream coming out of the top of your throat."
Shit, he probably knows now.
He probably does know now. It's so cute. So just now, Amber, we're supposed to meet up. I'm supposed to meet up with my friend's kids later on today. I sound like that's sort of the only people I hang out with, and it's not far off from the truth right now. And my friend Amber's like, yeah, can you guys make sure you get Liam out of his room? He just wants to sit in his room all the time by himself. I'm like, imagine a 12-year-old boy wanting to hang out alone in his room. She's like, I know.
Make sure to knock.
I'm like, imagine he wants to spend time, and he's an introverted kid to begin with too. He's a quiet kid. So he already likes his time on his own, and maybe his sister's fucking crazy and the craziest extrovert that's basically on cocaine, but not. So I too would hide in my room if given the opportunity. So
right. Just kind of, and being at that age, alone time is, yeah.
That's still No more
shit.
Friday Nightmares. Oh, you froze. You came back.
Yeah, I thought you froze on me. So I don't know what happened there.
Oh man, it says internet connection is unstable.
Uh-oh.
Just like our love lives.
Yeah, and you always make fun of Michigan having the bad internet. Look at you with your internet connection being unstable. We're close to
Michigan. We share a border. So anyway, I was talking about nothing. So we're talking about nothing. We literally have done nothing of real interest. The Beavis and Butthead movie and you driving to Detroit is the highlight of the last 2 weeks. We got nothing.
It's true. And I do want to give a heads up. Who knows? I may lose power because there is a massive storm hitting us right now.
Oh man. So Scott we'll cuts out. I'll just continue and this will become a solo cast that it was always meant to be.
That's what it was truly meant to be.
It was truly just meant to be Friday or Nightmares.
Yes. And I did want to say too, give a shout out to our good old buddies from Down Under, Tim Davis and Luffy. I mean, obviously it was mainly Tim Davis, but he did the interviews. He interviewed me last night for his I'm Your Number One Fan show, and he did yours. What was it, about a week and a half ago?
I don't know. That was I've done a lot of interviews since then, so that was
a little
2 weeks
popular.
ago. Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Because I love it when I can go to a podcast and not really have to prepare for anything. Just go in and
just talk about yourself.
Yeah, I was like, I even told Tim, I'm going, my inflated ego really appreciates this, Tim.
You know what's funny? Scott does not have the ego of this group. It's me.
No, I'll say it's funny because I even talked about it on the interview. I was like, we are basically ourselves on our podcast. We just inflate our personalities for the show, way extreme.
I definitely suck cock, and so does Scott.
Right.
So
but we don't talk about it as openly and constantly as we do here.
Well,
maybe I don't.
With each other, we kind of do.
Yeah, with each other we do. Yeah.
But no, I thought. Did Tim tell you that you were one of his podcasting role models?
He kind of did. Yeah, I was kind of blown away by that.
I'm like, but you have a better show. and Daniel are so funny. Like I was listening to them talk about Prey and just they're like Phantasm, and they're just so funny. I guess we're funny too. You know what? He's right. We are his role models. The only reason Horror for Dummies is as good as it is because of Friday Nightmares. Without Friday Nightmares, there would be no Horror for Dummies.
Oh, and the funny thing is, like this came as a fucking shock to me though. He basically, in like different words, but basically called me like horror royalty because he had listened to me like for so long, being on like Horror Drunks podcast by the cemetery, that he was actually nervous about.
So he was one of the 5 listeners that listened to that show.
I guess. But yeah, like he was telling me, like he was nervous to ever actually reach out to me and stuff like that. And then like I was like, wow, like that's for what I told him, going, dude, I'm just a horror nerd. I never see myself as anything more than that. And like,
and I'm not even that good of a podcaster.
Right,
I
like,
fucking do my show.
I half-ass everything, dude. Come on.
Like honestly.
But we love you too.
Half-ass.
Right? I mean, I'm done in like 2 seconds because I just don't want to deal with it. Too much work.
But you have been around, all joking aside, Scott, because I talked about you on my interview, so you better have talked about me.
I did.
And I talked about how like you had years of experience podcasting before you and I had started podcasting together. Like you had been part of 2 shows. Now this one is the one that you and I control the most out of all the shows we've been on, or you've been on, or I've been on. Which is why we record when we want, for as long as we want, talk about what we want, do what we want, because it's what we do. Ours. But you have been around a long time. I get why Tim would be nervous.
It just doesn't like, because I just never knew anyone ever really listened to the Horror Drunks. Like I knew,
like you listened to that show.
Like, I mean, we had fun with it, but back then I had no like expectations of like people actually listening. I mean, I was shocked when I found out, like Watson listened. A couple of I knew personal friends would listen, but I didn't know anybody from that didn't know us personally would have actually listened. So it was, it's nice to hear that. And at the same time going like, man, like you could definitely tell like where I started to where we are now. Like,
oh yeah.
One microphone with shared between 3 people in the same room, and
like one cup shared as well.
Oh yeah, one cup that we all 3 filled at the same time. Yeah.
It was a shot glass, but neither here nor there.
A thimble.
A thimble. We're in fine form today. This is great. But no, like you really have, now you're on a really serious professional show.
Fuck yeah. I haven't talked about that. Like I even talked about that in the interview, talking about how like, when we first got together and started coming up with the idea, like, man, we're going to be very professional. We're not going to swear. We're going to do all this research.
Which we did for a long time. We did.
2 episodes. We did the professional part.
Oh, yeah. But we researched for a long time.
Yeah, we did the research for a while. But yeah, 2 episodes. And then we're just kind of like, fuck this. Let's be ourselves.
Well, we will handle certain topics with tact and grace.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We make fun of each other and make fun of ourselves, but we don't, I think, like, for example, I joke about me liking sex, but I do. And I feel proud about that. I feel like I should. I think any human being who enjoys sexual activity should be welcome to do so.
Absolutely.
And talk about it. Right. So I think like, somebody might think I'm slut shaming myself. I certainly am not. I am proud that I enjoy sex. And I think everybody should, if that's their thing. If that's not your thing, totally respect that. Like if you're asexual and that's not how you want to engage, then that's cool.
Yeah.
So I do think we have kept a level of respect and professionalism in the sense
except for respect for each other. No.
Yeah, like respect for ourselves, respect for each other. Nah, that's a little dicey. And occasionally we like rail on some podcasters that we know. But like if we tease Tim Davis, it's because we know him well enough and we would never say anything inappropriate.
Right, exactly. And we love him.
Like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I couldn't even say Tim's a shitty dad. Tim's one of the best dads ever.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think Tim is just the epitome of what a good father should be. And I mean that. Yeah. And like he recently on Horror for Dummies, I know we're talking about them like yet again, they're like our boyfriends and we like make out, but they're not, they're just Scott's boyfriends. Because even when they called their Aussie friends, okay, even when Tim was really drunk the other day and he had his Aussie friend, really hot guy named Dave, and I was like, oh, Dave's really hot. Dave was interested in Scott. Like, why can't I win? And that's fine if Dave like is bi or gay and is interested in Scott, but I like always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
But to be fair, Heather, you did get a second video of Dave talking specifically to you.
Yeah, and what he was going to do, which I was like, fuck, okay.
Right?
Dave, so, be careful what you promise.
So I mean, to be fair, I mean, he did come back around and focus right on you.
He did, which I greatly appreciated. So, but yeah, anyway, it was very nice that Tim calls us when he's drunk and he did those interviews with us. It was lovely.
Yeah, and I'll say like, you know, because I know we're like best friends, but I didn't know like that he looked up to us like that, like as much as he's like told.
Oh, I'm
like,
sure Daniel really looks up to us too.
Daniel probably has no idea what's going on.
Daniel's like, hello, team.
I mean, to be
bitch.
fair, I mean, I do feel proud that apparently we are one of the very, 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 very few shows.
We're the only
that
one he
Luffy
listens to that's horror too related.
Yeah. So I feel proud about that. So we love you, Luffy.
No, we do. We love your fluffy little bum bum.
Mhm.
Fluffy little bum bum. Anyway, we'll get into our 2022 watches because Scott's like, he's been watching them like a maniac.
Someone gave me shit and I came back with a motherfucking vengeance.
That's for sure. He's watching movies like he's never watched before.
And there are 3 that I did not add to this list because they were already talked about by you.
That's true. That's true. The first one that we're going to talk about is 13 Lives. I watched this movie. It's not a horror film. I know it's not, but I really wanted to bring it up. So I put it on here. It is on Prime. And I don't know if you followed this story, Scotty, about the kids in Thailand who got stuck in the caves and the soccer team 2019 and the divers had to go in and get them out one by one.
Yeah.
This is like fucking survival. Like these divers, man, like fucking props to them. Like I don't know how they managed to take these kids out one by one by one. It's fucking incredible. Oh, Scott, you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought you were still going, but I was going to ask you a question though. Is this a documentary or is this like a movie based on that?
So it's a movie based on it, but I read the actual story and it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
So like it was Ron Howard that did it. The movie directed it. It's a 2.5 hour film. And probably what takes the most amount of time is you see the work that went into planning to get these kids out.
Gotcha.
And to give you an idea what they had to do, they had to sedate them for I think it was a 6-hour dive through these caves.
Holy shit.
Like it wasn't like a little, around the corner, around the bend. Like we're talking, and these kids survived 10 days without food.
Wow.
With just the cave water to drink, and none of them got sick.
Wow.
Like it is incredible, this story. Someone does die, and they do stay to the story of how a diver unfortunately doesn't make it out. It is probably one of the most, even though I knew the outcome, I knew all the, like, if you know the story, you know the story. All the kids lived, right. We know it was in the news, but how they got them fucking out is like incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, it is incredible.
I didn't know about all the how they got them out.
Like, well, and how long the dive was. And like they had to go through these spaces that were super tight. They had to go on land and then off. Like it was, honestly, Scott, because these caves got flooded. These were caves you would usually walk through. Right. But the typhoon season came early and a flash storm came in and these kids didn't have a chance to get out.
That's crazy.
And it was honestly the most interesting film. I know it's not horror, but I included it on here because this is a fucking must watch.
It's real life horror.
Yeah. And it's survival film and it's, a happy enough ending, but holy fuck, these divers deserve fucking, like, these were volunteers. The guys that got them out were volunteers from America. There was the 2 guys that led from British, a guy from Canada, and I think a guy from Australia.
Wow, and that's crazy.
Those weren't their jobs.
Right.
Like, well, the one guy was a doctor, which is why he was able to sedate them. Honestly, Scott, watch this movie.
I was gonna say, like, you've sold me on this.
Like it is the most, I have never been so emotionally invested in a film. I know it's not horror, everyone, but real life horror, this actually fucking happened, and it's pretty fucking accurate to the real story.
That's cool. Like, okay, yeah, I did, because I had never even heard of this.
Yeah, I followed the story like crazy back in 2019. Because I was really concerned about them getting these kids out. I followed what happened to them, how they were going to get them out. I didn't realize, I was like, man, how are they swimming that long? Like that long to get out. And then I realized how they got them out. And it's nothing short of fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's like, because I knew about like the story itself, but I had no idea like about this movie.
Oh, dude, it is.
So yeah, I'm going to check this out for sure.
Well acted. Like Colin Farrell and Viggo Mortensen played the 2 British divers.
Oh, nice.
And like, it's and it's not really all about them. Like it's about the plan to get these
Right.
kids out, right? Like it's not like, and it's not overdrawn. Like maybe conversations are dramatized but what they had to do is not fucking dramatized. Like
Right.
that's what happened.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, I'll definitely have to watch this.
Watch it. Yeah, watch it. It's worth it.
And speaking of
Oh,
Viggo
and it's
Mortensen,
available on Prime. Just so we're clear, it's
okay,
available
perfect.
on the Prime.
And yeah, and speaking of Viggo Mortensen, I'll jump into my next movie, which is the brand new David Cronenberg. He's finally freaking back in horror, Crimes of the Future. Um, so this is more like typical style Cronenberg, where it's very, I guess you would call it almost like cyberpunkish, sci-fi-ish, mixed with like lots of like body horror and like weird sexual fantasy stuff. But it's basically this world is a world in the future where people do not get diseases anymore. They do not get infections. They do not feel pain. Like they can live a lot, people live a lot longer and can do a lot of stuff because they do not feel pain. The pain receptors are like just no more. They've like evolved. Basically, everybody has evolved as humans and they've like found ways to their bodies to protect themselves. So in this world, surgeries are now done just openly. Like you'd be walking the street and you could see somebody on like sitting on a stool, like just outside in the middle of the street, just being cut open by somebody and like doing surgery because there's no worry about getting infection from things from the outside world. So you can just cut yourself open and people can mess with you right on the back alleys, right in dingy streets. It's grimy, it's gross, and but yeah, it's just like that's what this world is like people surgeries have become a form of performance art to where people will go to shows watching surgeries being done in these like unique ways with, and it's almost treated like a play or an opera and how it's done. And Viggo Mortensen is the main character in this, and it's a very strange story. Obviously, it's Cronenberg. It always is. But Viggo Mortensen is in this, and he's one of those evolved humans that he unfortunately has the side effects from whatever that he grows extra organs constantly. Like to the point where he has to have surgeries all the time because he's got to get these organs removed because there's just no space in there for his regular organs because they just keep reproducing and remaking more and more and more. And so he and his partner always do these performance art surgeries to a big crowd to get his organs removed. It's very weird. It's very fascinating. Typical Cronenberg with some weird ass body horror, futuristic, robotic shit going on that's like fleshy but also animatronic. Lots of weird sexual fantasy stuff going on in this. Like, if you are a fan of Cronenberg, this is a must watch because, for one, I mean, it's Viggo Mortensen is the main role. Viggo Mortensen, amazing actor, and there's a ton of recognizable faces in this. But yeah, this is definitely Cronenberg back to his old roots, just with a more modern take on things. And yeah, if you are a fan of David Cronenberg, give this movie a watch. I'm gonna look up where it is available right now. Let's see. I think it's only available to rent at the moment, but let me double check.
That makes sense.
Let's see. It is available to rent on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and Amazon Video. But this is a definite I high recommend. This movie was really fucking cool. And I'm the one that always talks about like I'm not the biggest fan of Cronenberg. Like I mean I love his movies, but I'm not like, oh my god, he's the greatest ever. Like but you know, if you know what you're getting into with this movie, it's exactly what you should expect from Cronenberg, and you would be happy.
Awesome, good to know. Good to know. Nice. Well, I might check out the Cronenberg movie. I like Cronenberg. I think I like his son more now. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like because you can definitely tell he takes steps in his father, or he follows in his father's footsteps. He's got
for sure, right?
He's definitely got like it's definitely in their blood, in their DNA.
Oh, for sure, right? Totally. So the movie I'm going to talk about is one that has good old Rebecca Hall in it, and it's called Resurrection. So the basic synopsis of this movie, first of all, it's a 103-minute runtime. A woman's carefully constructed life is upended when an unwelcome shadow from her past returns, forcing her to confront the monster she's evaded for 2 decades. This movie is definitely about abuse, manipulation, and control. Rebecca Hall, always. Like, I don't know if Rebecca Hall can make a bad movie. You know what I mean? Like, she's just a
Right.
very, very good actress. Um, Tim Roth plays David, who I think a lot of people know. You know who Tim Roth
Yep.
is?
I was like, because yeah, I remember I actually watched the trailer for this, and I was like, oh, okay, this looks very interesting.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in Funny Games, Reservoir Dogs, Halt, Twin Peaks, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction. Like, this guy has a huge, huge list of movies to
Yeah,
his
he was
names.
definitely a Tarantino go-to for a while.
Yeah, he's definitely done a lot, and he plays a great piece of shit in this movie.
Mm.
Um, I think there's some. I know that some people will question why she makes the decisions that she makes in this film. I think this film really, really shows how bad manipulation and control can be. Rebecca Hall carries this film. The ending confused me. I've actually asked Brandon to watch it, or maybe if you get a chance to watch it too, Scotty, and maybe you can explain the ending to me because I didn't quite get it. It's a little artsy, the ending,
Okay.
but overall, very, very good film. Has a 3.4 rating on Letterboxd and totally deserves it. It's available on iTunes, Vudu, and Spectric on demand.
Nice. Yeah, this is one I definitely have on my list to watch soon.
Yeah, I would recommend it. Like, I think we have access to it, so definitely, I think you need to watch it before the end of the year.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I
Yeah,
will.
yeah,
I'll
for
probably
sure.
get to it this week when I'm like not doing any podcast homework.
Honestly, it's long and it's heavy, but it's very, very good.
Nice. Okay, sweet. I'll say like it definitely seems like we're starting to hit the stride of like finding the good movies.
Yeah, I would say like I'm seeing more good than bad now.
Yeah, like this is how it usually goes. Like the beginning of
Yeah,
the year is always slow, and there's not a lot of good ones. Like you just got to find the hidden gems, and then
yeah.
as the half the year gets past, like that's when a lot of the good stuff starts showing up.
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah, and I'll say I guess we can jump into the next one because you and I both watched this one.
We sure did. Yeah. Do you want to give the intro for it?
Sure. So the next one that we are going to talk about is they slash them. Campers at an LGBTQ conversion camp endure unsettling psychological techniques while the campsite is stalked by a mysterious killer. This also stars Kevin Bacon. So this basically looked like it was going to be more like in the lines of an 80s style camp slasher, the way it felt, like in the way the trailers kind of portrayed it to be. It's got slasher elements, but it's definitely not.
No.
Like it's definitely not an 80s slasher. This is more focused on the whole conversion camp thing and how fucked up and messed up that this is still a thing.
Yeah, like that. This only was made legal in Canada like 2 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I thought like all in all, I thought this was a very interesting movie. Like I was not bored.
No.
All the characters did a great job.
Like
and
this
the
has a
kills were decent.
1.7 rating on Letterboxd. I'm sorry to cut you off, Scott.
Okay.
That really fucking pisses me off. This movie is not a 1.7.
No.
Like it's not. Just because it wasn't slasher enough for you, or if I swear to God, if someone uses this term woke, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Because you know what woke means to me? That you're aware of the fucking social, economic, and cultural issues that exist in this fucking society, and you're not a dum-dum.
Yeah.
And that you understand what privilege means, and you're not insecure about it. Anyone who uses woke, I actually have lack of respect for.
Oh, absolutely.
I actually honestly think you're stupid. So, and I'm sorry if that offends you, but no, I'm not, because you're dumb. If you use woke and you walk around and use that, like, this movie is about shit that actually happens. Yeah. And conversion therapy is horse shit. All right. It's complete fucking horse shit, and it borderlines or is abuse. So,
100% abuse.
Like, like it's not the best slasher. If you're giving it 1.7 because you were like, oh, I thought this would be a really good slasher, I get that. It's not a good slasher. It's not. But if you're giving it 1.7 because you're mad that it told it from an LGBTQ plus opportunity, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. Like I went into this thinking, okay, this could be more slasher. So I was a little disappointed that it wasn't the slasher that I wanted. It wasn't
a great slasher at all. Like it really wasn't. No.
The killer was pretty much like you knew who it was right away.
Yeah, you knew pretty quickly. You could put your big thinking cap on and figure it out.
Yeah, but at the same time, like once I realized that this was not a slasher, like full on slasher, that this was more just kind of focused on the fucked up shit that happens at conversion camps. That's when I was more like, okay, now I see what this movie is trying to show. I am in for this. I am going to watch it. And it ends up being a lot better than I was originally given it credit for, because I thought, because I realized it was a different type of movie. And once I did that, once I
Absolutely.
realized that, I was more like cool with it. Like I'm not cool with seeing what fucking happens, but
No, but cool with the I get what you're saying, Scott, because the emotional and physical torture, like that part where they shoot the hound and
oh
he's
my
yelling
god,
at the gentleman who is gay and calling him a queen, and his reaction to Kevin Bacon's abuse was uncomfortable.
yes,
And finally, the individual that goes by they, I can't remember the character's name, I have to look it up here, Jordan, shoots a dog.
well,
Happens
let's
to be
not
a
get.
really
I mean, let's not
oh,
get
I
too far
guess
into spoilers.
yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people won't watch this movie anyway, but you're
True.
probably right. Anyway, I told a part there. Sorry guys. There's a spoiler that I talked about with a dog. But that scene is, the acting in that scene's really good. The way that they portray how those who people trying to figure out the way I want to present this here. The reason why conversion camps exist is really well presented in this movie.
Yes.
And I think that it's a shame that Kevin Bacon produced this movie. He was the executive
did he
producer.
really?
Yeah.
I did not realize
and,
that.
And I wished he had just gone for more of a artistic flair to this. I think trying to masquerade it as a slasher and a poorly done slasher was the mistake
Yes.
in this film. This is a good movie. It is not a 1.7 film, but it is not a good slasher.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's where I would stand on it.
Yeah, I was saying because of that, I gave it, I think it was like a 3 out of 5 or a 3.5 out of 5. Like it's still a good movie, but like because of what it was trying to portray itself as, I couldn't give it a higher score.
Yeah, like I would definitely say to people, this isn't the strongest horror movie in the world.
No.
It's more of a, I don't even know what to put it in the camp of. I feel like it's a real life, almost retelling story of what happens in conversion therapy, the trauma that it can cause, and there's a little bit of stabby put into it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
In it, and there's some none of the kill scenes even stood out to me.
No. And
some of the other scenes did that upset me more, and unfortunately gave a spoiler away, but that is scene among with others upset me more than the killing scenes did.
Right. And like, cause and like I think what stood out for me is like like you were saying, like the other scenes that are not the slasher stuff and the acting.
Yes, the acting is very good.
Because holy shit, I hated Kevin Bacon's character.
Oh yeah, Kevin Bacon was an asshole. But the kids reacted perfectly to him too.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Like all the kids that had lead roles were quite good.
Yeah.
Like I like, yeah, so yeah, it's just a shame that they packaged this as a slasher because I think that's a poor rating. Because this is not a bad film. But I would say to people, especially people in the LGBTQ, thank you, plus community, this movie may be very hard for you to watch.
Yeah.
I, as a heterosexual person, have no idea what this would be like. And I would just give a trigger warning because I think that it's very upsetting. I was upset with some of the things that happened and some of the words that were used and the way people were treated. I can't imagine how I would feel if I was gay, bi, asexual, transgendered. Though there's a really interesting line that one of the transgendered individuals says at the end, which made me laugh. Not laughing like like yeah, you probably have put up with more shit than this. It's true, right? Like there's just you know what I mean. But it's available, I think, on Netflix. Is it Netflix?
Nope. I'm not sure where it is for Canada, but I'm looking that up right now. For me, it's for the US, it's Peacock Premium.
It's Peacock Premium. Yeah, it's all it is here too. So that's why I watched it through other means necessary. Yeah. But yeah, if for some reason though, you're gonna slap woke on this and anything that makes you think outside of your little bubble and upsets you, then don't watch this movie because you're just gonna call it woke and it's not woke. Like that term doesn't even really exist. It's just people's insecurity about things being brought to the surface that they don't want to face.
Right.
Like how can you sit there and be like, oh yeah, this community's treated fairly? Like how can you honestly think that?
No, like
people, like you have states in the United States where they still can't get married.
Yeah.
Like
it's still an issue. Like for some fucking reason.
Right? Like it's just, and I don't understand it. Without being too like fucking crude here, everyone can have anal sex, so they're not doing anything super special. Everyone
Right.
can have oral sex. Like there's nothing overly and because they can't, if two people that have the same sex engage in sexual intercourse, they can't make a child. That makes it blasphemy. I don't understand. Lots of people who are straight don't have kids.
It's because we still live in a freaking bullshit world in our country where religion is used as a basis for rules for how to live.
Yeah, and we could obviously pick that apart if we were a different podcast, but I think what it comes down to is if you are interested in watching something that might open your eyes to what people from a different group have gone through, watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's not a good slasher. If
No.
you're looking for a good slasher to be entertained by, this movie is not going to be it. But if you want to be educated on the dangers of conversion therapy, yes, this movie is definitely for you.
100% yes.
Right? I think that's the best way to sum it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm gonna jump into the next one. This one actually, you have not watched this one yet, have you?
No.
All right. So yeah, the movie we're talking about now is one that just came out on Shudder, and it is called Glorious. And oh boy, was this movie glorious!
Was it? Was it?
Oh, I loved it. It is. I'm gonna read the synopsis real quick. After a breakup, Wes ends up at a remote rest stop. He finds himself locked inside the bathroom with a mysterious figure speaking from an adjacent stall. Soon, Wes realizes he is involved in a situation more terrible than he ever could imagine. Um, it's got, I can never, I'm going to pull up his name, but he plays Jason Stackhouse in the True Blood series, and it's Ryan Quanten. And it also stars J.K. Simmons as the voice in the stall next to him. And the reason it's called Glorious, and I kind of find it funny, is because there is a glory hole in the stall.
Oh, nice.
And this movie is very like I want you to watch it because I think you'll enjoy it. You probably won't enjoy it nearly as much as me because it is very Lovecraftian in a way.
Oh, fuck my life.
But it is so well done, and the performances between Ryan and J.K. Simmons are incredible.
Nice.
And it's got some very good gory moments. It's got some little bit of comedy to it, and it has a twist reveal towards the end that I'm going, oh shit, okay. This is, basically a movie with two leads and not really many other people around. It is basically a movie that those two carry. And it's incredible because, Ryan is, his character, Wes, is basically just talking to a disembodied voice. You don't even see J.K. Simmons' character. Like, you just hear the voice. So it's basically just Ryan Quanten doing this movie by himself, talking to a disembodied voice. And it's so well done. Like, it's
nice.
Very it's definitely got the whole new age purple and pink gel lighting going on and stuff like that.
I love it.
And it's just a really well done movie. And holy shit, I had so much fun with this. It is so weird. It's pretty fucked up. And at the same time, there is a little bit of comedy to it. And the whole relationship aspect to it of Ryan, his character Wes having the breakup and dealing with that shit like that. I'm a sucker for that shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this movie, I loved it so much that it's in my top 5 right now.
Awesome. Look at you, huh?
Yeah, I fucking dug the hell out of this.
And it's on the Shuddy?
Yep, it is on the Shuddy. So definitely a high recommend. I recommended it to our good friend Liz, and she ended up watching it last night and instantly loved it as well.
Well, there you go. All you need to know is Liz liked it, and that's it. Perfect, Liz. Thank you, Liz, for listening to Scott and watching movies. Appreciate you.
I think I've learned her taste over the years, so I messaged her going, yeah, you'll love this.
Well, she's pretty dicey taste because she is friends with you.
So
am I. So what does that say?
That is very fair.
That says we have no taste. I'm just kidding, Scott. You're the best. You're simply the best. Around. No one's gonna take Scotty down. So I'll talk about my movie, which is Infrared.
Our movie.
Oh, you watched it?
Yes, I did.
How did you think? I know, right? It's like I want to be Grave Encounters, but we're not.
100%. That's exactly what I
thought. Anyway, this movie's an 88-minute runtime. It's found footage.
It's also called Infrared.
Infrared. Didn't I say that?
No, because I interrupted you before I had a chance to say
sorry. Infrared. It is 88 minutes long. In this school, the first lesson is fear, is the tagline. Family tensions between a brother and a sister with psychic powers threaten to tear apart the filming of an episode of a paranormal reality TV show. But simmering emotions may be the least of the crew's problems. This is a found footage film, and I guess it was made for $16,000.
Oh, that's wow.
It was fine. Honestly, for found footage, I think this movie was an average found footage film. The acting was fine.
Yeah, like I thought the chemistry between brother and sister were really good.
Was really good. I thought the exorcism at the beginning was very cool.
Yes.
Very realistic. The other paranormal stuff that randomly happens throughout it was a good setting. The school is the main thing, but there's a bunch of stuff that happens before they get to the school. I just didn't get the ending.
Yeah, like because I had a feeling like during the third act with the reveal of what happens, I had a feeling that was going to happen just because of someone that shows up.
That.
Yeah, like and then
but
then
do you think the ending was supernatural or human related?
See, that's the part I was having an issue with, is because I was like, is any of this really supernatural? Because the thing that comes running at the screen at the end, like I was like, is that a ghost or is that human? Because they didn't really like. I don't know. Like it was
like, is this a situation of Grave Encounters, or is this a situation of something more mortal related?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's
you get my point, right? Without me trying to give away okay. Like anyway, that was the downfall to me. Up to that point, I was enjoying it enough.
Yeah, like I was thinking it was above average at first. Like I'm enjoying it's fine, you know, but then that kind of ending happened and I'm going, you guys should have decided what this was and ran with it, because I was left wanting more. I was left with more questions.
Like, man, I so badly want to talk about and give a spoiler with you on but anyway, just know to everyone watching found footage, this movie will leave you questioning at the end on what exactly happened. So, and not in a good way, like in a way of like where Grave Encounters leaves it like, this is fucked. Like, the house that October built, the first one, that's people doing what they're doing, right? Like, but it was like, is it in this realm or is it in another realm? And that to me was very, I don't know, it's too bad, because up to that point, and I thought the guy's reaction and the sister's reaction at the end were really good. Like I bought everybody's reaction. Yeah,
like I said, like for a found footage, especially low budget, they got some good actors in front of the camera.
Yeah, like honestly, it had a lot of potential. It's kind of a shame.
It definitely wasn't bad, but I didn't hate my time with it. It just kind of left me wanting to know more.
Yeah, I definitely think they should have done more, and it would have been nice if they did. It is available on Apple, Google, Microsoft Store, Tubi TV, and YouTube. I think watching this for free is a great idea.
Yep, I was gonna say I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, like it's a great free watch, and to be honest with you, it's a found footage. Besides, like the ending, I enjoyed it. Otherwise, like I just didn't get what they were going with.
Right, exactly. It's the same here. Like it's definitely one that I'd say, worth watching if you're if you're like us, just trying to watch all the new stuff. Like it's not one that I hated. Like
no, I think it had really good potential, to be honest with you. I just don't get the route they went with it. But yeah, it's available. I would say watch for free on Tubi if found footage is really your thing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And speaking of Tubi, the movie I am going to bring up is actually a documentary, Scariest Monsters in America, which is a Tubi original.
Oh.
And let me just kind of get a synopsis here. This one is, in each U.S. state, stories of monsters living amongst us have been used to scare children and warn sinners away from misbehavior. But which of these boogeymen brings the biggest fright? In the 2-hour Tubi special, Scariest Monsters in America, we're counting down the top 10 creatures in the country, from a horrifying home invader to a cunning cannibal. We'll uncover evidence of each larger-than-life beast to determine once and for all which monster is most deserving of state bragging rights. It's basically like one of those, like, here are these mythological or cryptids from different states, and it's like one of those, it almost reminded me of like something I would catch on like basic cable, like, oh, we're gonna count down the top 10 scariest of these movies, like, has that
one of those kind of feel to it. I get that.
And it was pretty interesting because they talk about like the Jersey Devil, the Wendigo, the
Scott Crawford.
The Scott Crawford, the Smokeshow.
Right.
They talk about Bigfoot, and like they talk about,
there was a Scott Crawford. They're like, if you listen closely in the night, you can hear the slapping ever so slightly in the wind.
yeah, for like
it's an Australian legend, actually. It's an
yes.
Australian
Oh,
legend.
who's this guy Crawford? Who's this guy Crawford? But yeah, like this was a easy to watch. Like, definitely kind of gave me that nostalgic feel of like watching these types of documentaries on cable back in the day. So like, I enjoyed it. Gave some interesting background information for some of these creatures, and some of them I've never heard of before. Some are obviously really well known. But yeah, I thought it was a very fascinating, easy to watch documentary.
That's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And where can you find it again? Tubi?
That is a Tubi original.
Awesome. Sometimes if you want something for free,
right? And
no fuss,
and
no
the same
mess.
plus, it's documentary, and we love our documentaries.
Documentaries. The next one I'm going to talk about is Gone in the Night. Did you watch this?
Yes, I did.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I pretty much everything on the rest on this list I've watched with you.
A maniac,
Told ya.
that's for
Scotty
sure.
came back, baby. Yeah.
And he's watching movies like he's never watched before. He has like two, you have like two going on the TV at one time, and you're like,
yeah, I got
no one will beat me.
I got one on the computer, one on my phone, one on the TV. I'm like,
you're
let's do this
oh
shit.
Man, I'm getting all of it. Fucking subtitles on all of them so you can keep up. This is a 90-minute runtime. It is a little long of a film just because I think it's paced really slowly.
Yes.
Upon arriving at a remote cabin in the Redwoods, Kat and her boyfriend find a mysterious young couple already there. The rental has apparently been double booked. They decide to share the cabin with these strangers until the next morning, but her boyfriend disappears with the young woman, which sends Kath into a spiral to find an explanation for their sudden breakup, but the truth is stranger than she could have imagined. Winona Ryder's in this one, and so is Demont Maroney. So is John Gallagher. And so is Brianna Tourouge, who I recognized from 47 Meters Down. And she was the main chick in Unhuman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So she's getting a lot of work. I like her, actually, to be honest with you. I think she plays because in Unhuman, she plays the protagonist.
Right.
And in this one, she's kind of not the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's a really good fucking little actress, to be honest with you. I like her quite a bit.
Oh, 100%. Like I thought, and I thought everybody in this movie did like a really good job. Like, I think it's just the pacing issue is the biggest thing. And the third act reveal I found to be just kind of silly. I wanted it to be something else.
Well, I think the third act reveal I got. I thought it was clever until they pushed it a little too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a part where it's like something's revealed and you're like, well, that wasn't necessary. Why did you just not make me think that this is why this was happening?
Right.
Why did we have to like expand more on the story? Right. Winona Ryder is great in this. I'm glad Stranger Things has kind of revived her career. She's not a horrible actress, and I think like in the right role,
given the right role, she shines.
Right, and the gentleman that plays her boyfriend, what's his name? I gotta go back to it. John Gallagher Jr. He's been in a lot of shit too. Like he was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, Hush.
Oh yeah.
Like he's a really solid, decent. He was in Come Play. He played the dad in Come Play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's a good little actor. The Belko Experiment, he was in that. He was also in Underwater. So yeah, he's been in a fair amount of films. So it was nice to see him in this one. This is definitely a slow burn, well acted, worth it, but buckle up for a slow ride, and not the biggest payoff in the world. This is very much more about like, I would say, relationship horror, multiple different relationships.
Yeah, I was gonna say film. Because like we were saying, like the pacing's a bit of an issue, but like I think, and for me, the third act just didn't work. Yeah. I think for me, the first two acts and like the mystery behind what the fuck happened had me more invested than when the reveal happened.
And that's fair, right? Like it's. I definitely probably liked it more than Scotty did. So, use your discretion at that. If you tend to side with me when you like movies, then you'll probably like this one more. If you side with Scotty, you may not like this one as much.
Like, don't get me wrong, I still liked it quite a bit. But yeah, that was like my biggest issue. Because I'm trying to look up what I gave it.
You gave it 3 stars.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah. Which is probably a lot that has to do with the acting.
Yeah, like the acting, and like I say, like I was totally invested with the whole mystery behind what was going on. I really wanted to figure out what happened to her boyfriend and shit.
Yeah, and like that little Brianna chick, man, like she's a good little actress. I look forward to seeing her in more shit.
Oh, absolutely.
I really liked her a lot, actually. She stood out to me with some of the stuff she did in that film that was so kind of like mean.
Yeah.
You know, she was really, and like to see her in Unhuman earlier this year, where she plays such a like do the right thing, and like I really have props for that. When I like, she is somebody I could put up for protagonist of the year and antagonist of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, and that's rare that I see a character that plays both of those fairly decently well.
Right. Yeah, because I
Right?
didn't recognize her at first, but yeah, once you mentioned it, yep, that's impressive.
Right? Like, so I, you know, good little actress. I hope to see her more. And she seems to be doing good in the horror genre. She was also in the second 47 Meters Down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
And I had fun with that movie.
Yeah, like, so she's obviously not bad. She obviously has some acting chops to her. So we'll see what else she comes out with. So this is available on iTunes, Google Play, Microsoft Store, and YouTube for rental. And then we have the final one, and I'll let Scotty bring that in because I watched it only because he told me it wasn't that bad, and he was right once I got past the first.
Yeah, so you just had to get past that first story.
Yes.
So the movie we are talking about is another Shudder exclusive, directed by Spider-One, who is Rob Zombie's younger brother. He is also known as the lead singer of Power Man 5000. But this is his directorial debut, and it's an anthology. And I didn't know that going into it, but it will help because this first little segment / story is a bit rough to get through. But it's the synopsis is a group of artists' lives become unwittingly entangled as their obsessions and insecurities manifest monsters, demons, and death. I would say this was an all right little anthology. Like I really thought that Spider-One, for being his directorial debut, did a very good job with directing. He got what he wanted out of the characters' performances. There's a lot of really cool special effects to it. All I feel was like some stories, obviously, like always, hit or miss in anthologies. That just happens. But the thing I feel was missing was each story just did not feel fleshed out enough. Like it just felt like they just needed a little more time to simmer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. So I didn't know Scout Taylor Compton was in this.
Yes.
She was in the story, but the date, right?
Yep.
Oh man.
It came up as
that was her.
Yeah, and her name on the screen was Scout Compton instead of Scout Taylor Compton.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her at all, to be honest with you. I'm glad Scott encouraged me to go through this because the first scene, I was like, oh my God, if this is 70 minutes of this, there's no way I'm going to be able to fucking handle this movie. Now, that being said, the main actor that's in that scene is not a bad actor.
No.
He's actually a very well-known, good actor.
Yes.
He was just annoying me in the role that he was in.
So because that's the type of annoying character he was supposed to be.
Right, exactly. I thought it was Rob Zombie who was in this, but it's not who plays the Whistler. I thought it was Rob Zombie for a second. I couldn't get a clear look at him because I was watching it on my phone. It's not Rob Zombie.
No.
Thought it was not Rob Zombie. Which I was kind of pissed off. I'm like, Rob Zombie couldn't even be in his fucking brother's film.
Right.
Like he couldn't do a cameo. He couldn't do that. Huh,
I mean, Rob Zombie is touring and also just finished, filming The Munsters. So I mean, I understand. He's a busy man.
But this is his brother.
Right. I mean,
he couldn't share a day of filming and show up and play.
Right. Well, the thing that I'm questioning is I have not seen Rob Zombie even promote this movie, which kind of makes me go, dude, this is your little brother's directorial debut. Promote the shit out of this. Maybe are more
it's
well
better than his films. I don't know. Like,
right?
Honestly, I thought this was really well directed.
Yeah, like the directing, amazing.
Like, and the writing was good, and I got how it was about allegory with like the artists coming together. I honestly thought it was a clever little anthology. I think people will be lukewarm on it, but I don't think it was bad.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it was clever enough for what it was. Some of the stories were stronger than others. The one with Scout Taylor Compton I thought was kind of weak.
Oh, see, I actually like that one.
Did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the one with the rock band and how it all kind of comes in full circle.
Yes. That one I feel was the most fleshed out of all the stories.
Yeah, it's the longest.
Yeah.
Too. And I thought that it did a good job of intertwining everyone artistry together. Like, this is a really great average, film. And there was no Cheryl Moon in it unnecessarily.
Yeah, Sherry Moon. Yeah, right.
Sherry Moon. And there was no unnecessary fucking trailer trash talk. So yeah, Spider-One, keep it up, dude. I'd
Yeah.
like to see what else you got coming.
Yeah, I'm hoping this wasn't just like a one and done passion
Yeah.
project. I'm hoping he does more because yeah, that for a directorial debut, I am very impressed. Like
Yeah.
especially because it's not easy to direct an anthology to make each
No.
story feel different, and he does a great job with it.
Yeah, and I thought they all came together well enough. Honestly, I thought it was a decent enough film. I don't think, oh man, it's the best anthology that ever exists or anything like that. Obviously not, but
No,
it
but
was good. It was entertaining for what it was.
I mean, it may be the best one in 2022 because
It may win anthology of the year because there's not much competition. But
right?
yeah, and I'm not shitting on Rob Zombie. Like, hey, if you're a Rob Zombie fan, rock on. I don't hate all his movies. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I like Devil Rejects and
House Thousand Corpses.
House of a Thousand. And I didn't even mind 31, but I don't really like Rob Zombie, so that's probably why I didn't mind 31. So I was like, no, this is interesting.
Yeah, I was saying like me, I'm like Lords of Salem, Devil's Rejects, House Thousand Corpses. I enjoyed them. 31 was all right. Like,
and the take he did on the Halloween films was fine. Like,
yeah, I'll say
version of it.
There hasn't been a movie that I've hated.
No, he doesn't come out with stuff, and I'm like, oh man, what a stupid fucking film.
Right.
I'll give him credit. He does things that are different that other people don't think of. But I thought this was good. I thought it was good for what it was.
Yeah, like I'm glad you ended up giving it a second chance.
Yeah,
I knew you turned it right off after like the beginning part.
Well,
of that
I couldn't
story.
put a 70 minutes of that shit. I was like, if this is all it's going to be, I can't handle this. But I'm like, a 10 minutes short, yeah, I can handle that. That's
yeah,
fine.
Exactly. Like, and yeah, their stories made it worthwhile.
Right. But yeah, so this is available on the Shudder, AMC Plus, Microsoft Store, iTunes, and Google Play. I'd say it's worth a rental, but if you got the Shuddy, I'd say watch it on the Shuddy.
Yep,
absolutely
100%. Right? Yeah, I'd definitely say this is definitely worth a watch, and support new directors.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think he's pretty good, and I hope to see more stuff from him.
Yeah, same. I want to see him get because it looked like it was a pretty decent budget, at least from the looks of it. So I'm hoping to see more of that. Like, just continue to give him money, let him just use his creative juices.
Just let him be. Let him be.
Oh shit! Looking at your older watch,
I know. Have you seen this one?
Nope. I heard Tim and Daniel review it, and then now I'm good to hear you talk about it.
Well, I won't talk about it as much as they did. So I watched the 1971 Steven Spielberg classic Duel. I watched this a while ago. It's just I haven't had a chance to talk about it. It's basically like Maximum Overdrive, only not. It's interesting. It's basically a crazy truck driver that hunts this guy across the interstates and in his truck. And it's not bad, for a 1971, I guess you would say, chase thriller film.
Yeah, I think it was made for TV as well.
Yeah, I believe it was. And you can see where Steven Spielberg got kind of his directing style from, how he wanted the camera shots to be, all that kind of stuff. And honestly, if you like 70s classics, and you like the thought of a guy in a semi-tractor trailer, like similar to, what was that movie? Game.
Oh,
Joyride.
Yeah, Joyride, yeah.
Like, I think Joyride got some inspiration from Duel 1971 for sure.
Oh, I'm guaranteed it did.
Right? So I'm glad they didn't call it a remake, because they could have.
Yeah.
Because people will do that. They'll retell the story and then call it a remake, right? So, and the story is actually aligned close enough. Crazy semi-tractor trailer driver hunts you down. Like, what more do you need?
Right,
because
very
you do
simple.
something that pisses them off, right?
Yeah.
So definitely check it out if you haven't had a chance to, especially if you're a 70s completist. Fun film. Great to see Steven Spielberg's original stuff.
Nice. Yeah. I'll have to watch this because
watch it. It's fun.
Yeah, I'll say because after hearing Tim and Daniel talk about it too, I was like, okay, I got it's one that I've been wanting to check out because of that after they reviewed it.
Did you like Joyride?
I did.
Yeah, you'll probably like this then.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
It's like the earlier version of Joyride.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And I actually brought an older watch.
I know. Like I was shocked. I had to look double twice to make sure that I actually was reading that properly.
Like, I'm on top of the motherfucking game right now.
Honestly.
But actually I technically watched 3.5 older movies that all kind of tie into this because I'm still kind of going through it. But since this is a first time watch, this is the one that I brought. But because of our good old friends Horror for Dummies, I know we've been blowing them a lot today, and my lips are getting chapped, but Tim,
oh man,
I'm still going for you, baby.
Right.
Just wanted to they started covering the Phantasm because one of their patrons picked
Phantasm,
and they decided they're gonna do the entire franchise because Tim's never seen any of the sequels and Luffy's never seen any of them. I've always loved Phantasm, as you could, if you remember from our top 70s episode we did, Phantasm was right up there on the list for me. I love that movie. It's so weird and alien, and fucking Angus Scrimm as the tall man is just awesome. So I realized when they talked about this, I was like, I kind of want to watch the franchise because I've seen one, two, and five, but it's been a long time since I've seen two, and I've only seen five once when it first came out. So I went through and watched part one, watched part two again. Yep, still absolutely love both of them. They're a lot of fun. And I decided part three I have not seen, so I need to watch that. And part three is Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead, released 1994, directed by Don Coscarelli. And I love the tagline. If you don't get it this time, he'll have to drill it into your head.
Wah, wah, wah.
But this one is the tall man, that imposing menace from Morningside Mortuary, is back and once again haunting the thoughts of the now adult Mike and his friend, ex ice cream vendor Reggie. The two continue their hunt for the mysterious figure and, in his path of destruction, encounter a variety of dangerous situations, friends, and enemies. Um, yeah, so this one is basically almost like the tall man is basically just wiped out towns. And like
Mhm.
it's almost like survival apocalyptic world now where they're kind of just going through and like meeting people that are like assholes and meeting people that are friends, and it's definitely a little more tongue-in-cheek, definitely has a little more comedy to it. But I found this to be just as fun. It's not as good as part two, but I still really enjoyed it, and it added a little more depth and story to the tall man, giving you a little more backstory to him. And I definitely, if you like Phantasm 1 and 2, definitely recommend continuing watching this. I'm halfway through part 4, and I'm loving that one, and that one gives a lot more in-depth detail of the tall man's history. So
Nice.
I'm very curious to finish that one off and then rewatch part 5 just to refresh myself and finish off the franchise. But man, it's such a weird, silly franchise, but holy shit, do I have fun with it.
Phantasm's such a weird movie in the begin with, right? Like,
Oh, it is.
and I gotta say, I respect Tim and Danielle for coming out and Tim saying that he finds it boring. Like, I think a lot of people are afraid to say that classic films are boring because they're worried people are going to get upset. I do think Phantasm, we know we should watch that, Scotty, Halloween. I haven't watched it in a long time. And when you come up here and we carve pumpkins, we should put on Phantasm
All right.
because it has been a very long time. And I feel like I don't really know if I like it or I said I liked it to just impress people.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's very weird. It's
Yeah, it is
a
a
lot
weird
is not
film.
explained. And I can see where Tim, especially back then, thought it was boring, and how he kind of thinks it's boring, a little boring now,
Yeah.
but he likes it a little more. But for me, I never found it boring. I felt the pace was good. It just
Yep.
has some very cheesy effects, and yeah, just leaves you good, kind of just scratching your head, like what's going on? What happened?
Well,
Why?
and boring to each person, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so subjective.
Oh, it
And
definitely is.
and I think sometimes when people don't want to say something's a classic, like when Tim and I interviewed, he's like, I'm going to say it. I think The Shining is boring. And I think The Shining is a drawn out movie too. I really do. I think it's a great film. Don't get me wrong. It's well made, but it's basically an glorified story about a guy going to a hotel and going crazy.
Yeah.
Like
I can see that.
that's what it is, right? And that's fine. Like I'm not trying to say it's not a good made movie. It's just what you find great, someone else can find boring, and vice versa. I
Right.
just don't like it when people use the term woke.
Yeah.
Anything else is fine. I don't like it. It wasn't for me. I'm not interested in political issues. I'm tired of hearing about this issue. Fine. But when someone goes, I didn't like it because it was too woke, I automatically think you're stupid. It's just
Right.
that's what I get to. Another option could be I just wasn't for me. It wasn't my thing. I don't
Right.
feel the need to insult people who like specific films. Like I tease Scotty about Beavis and Butthead, obviously, but like he likes that. I'm never gonna be like, no, Scotty, you're dumb because you like Beavis and Butthead. Like, of course
Right.
not. His
Of course
thing.
not.
But yeah, I'm eventually gonna check out the Phantasm ones too. But I think when you come up for Halloween, maybe that's something we should watch.
Yeah,
Is
I'll say. I mean,
Phantasm.
I just rewatched it, and I am down to rewatch it again because I do love the first couple of movies.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe like watching it with you, like even like when I was talking to George, I invited George to do the stuff that Scotty and I are doing together and other friends, and he's like, "Nah, you and Scotty do your thing because like you guys have a different appreciation for stuff, and we do."
Oh yeah.
Like George watched Choose or Die with us, which was fine. It was a Netflix film, but like there's certain films that Scott and I will watch that other people won't sit through.
Right.
Like and it's just because we have a different interest in it. We do the show, we watch all 2022s. Like we're more likely to sit down and watch more than the greatest hits. We get
Yes.
to the real B side, C side, D side, E side
Yes, we
of
do.
films, right? So I guess we'll move to Scott, like, do you just wake up and think everything sucks? It's
And
just one
everything
of
is
them
fucked.
days. And do you ever find that it's about the he said, she said bullshit ever?
100%. And man, do I want to break stuff.
You know what I think I might do? I think I might break your fucking face tonight.
Because I'm packing a chainsaw and I'll skin your ass raw.
So for our what's new section, I forget what day it was this week. I think it was Wednesday morning. Scott messages me and he's like, "Oh man, I'm doing something different. I'm watching the train wreck Woodstock 99 documentary on Netflix." I'm like, "You're no fucking kidding. I binged that shit last night." So I was like, I was going to talk about it for what's new. He's like, "So was I." I'm like, "Let's talk about it together."
Yeah. Because holy shit.
Holy fuck. So even though, yet again, people could argue with us, this isn't horror. I suggest you watch episode 3 of fucking this documentary because it basically turns into the fucking Purge.
Yeah.
Before the Purge was even a thing. I don't know, Scott, do you want to give your thoughts on it first and then I'll give mine?
Yeah, I'll even give a little history. So, like,
Okay.
obviously, 1999, I was 17 years old.
I was 16.
Yep, and I was a big fan of a lot of these bands that were coming to Woodstock, and this was such a big deal. I watched a lot of the stuff on MTV when they were going live there and shit like that. And it was really cool, and I was all excited. And then I remember start hearing the horror stories of shit that went down and seeing like shit on fire and shit getting destroyed and people getting raped and some people dying and holy shit, like what the fuck happened? And well, this Netflix documentary definitely does a deep dive on what the fuck went wrong with this whole situation. And holy shit, was there just corners cut, mistakes fucking made, and no one fucking taking blame for what happened. And like the first episode, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give this a watch and just kind of seeing that first episode. I'm going, okay, I'm glued. What the fuck is going on here? How did this happen? Like, this is such a big deal. Woodstock 99 is a huge thing, and you got all these amazing bands like showing up and performers showing up for this. And you have so many people. What was it, 200,000? I think they said.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was insane. And then to hear like, yeah, they decided to change the venue and put it on a giant blacktop concrete in the middle of fucking summer, making it so people couldn't bring their own bottled waters in and forced to buy.
You know what? They still do that at festivals. So this was the time where Warped Tour, Edgefest in Canada. Did you have Warped Tour?
Yep.
Did you ever? And then Lilith Fair. I went to both Edgefest and Lilith Fair that year.
So I think I may have went to Warped Tour around that time.
Did you go to Warped Tour? And those were days. Like you would just go for a day. Sometimes they had back-to-back days, but you would go home. There was no, except for Edgefest. Edgefest, you could actually camp there when it used to be at the Molson campground out in Barrie. Could you camp for Warped Tour?
I think Warped Tour, like at least the one I went to, was only one day.
It was just the one day. So like I couldn't bring in bottled water to any of those events. You had to buy.
Yeah.
So that to me didn't shock me that they did that.
The prices for 1999.
Yes, that was a shocking piece. Yes.
Like those are the prices you'd expect to pay now in 2022 at festivals like that, which is still ridiculous. But that's part of the venue and that's part of going to concerts. But like $4 a bottle of water in 1999. That is fucking insane.
Right.
Especially when everybody that's going are basically teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
College students who don't have a lot of money.
But they sold out the rights. And in defense, the goal of those vendors was to make money.
Shit, the goal of the promoters of the show, that was what they ended up wanting to do, make money. Like that was the biggest mistake right there.
And let's be real talk. Edgefest and Lilith Fair were both to make money. Now, when I went to Lilith Fair, like I'll give you the lineup: Sarah McLachlan, Sheryl Crow, Dixie Chicks, or the big ones that I can remember. Deborah Cox, who's Canadian, that no one really knows about, and whatever. Like it was all chicks, right? And it was generally speaking pretty tame. The Edgefest I went to, Billy Talent, the closing act was Good Charlotte, but there was like that was a little more intense, and it was a ripoff. But you knew going in all. I think the problem was these kids didn't know. because I knew going to the Multiman Theater how much food was.
Yeah.
Like, I knew. So I knew that I had to bring spending money for that. I think the problem was communication here. These kids didn't know.
Yeah, like there was no like saying, can't bring things in. There was nothing.
Or like, here's how much the prices are going to be.
Yeah.
Like, you knew at Multiman Theater how much stuff was going to cost you. You knew. And
Right.
it was a ripoff, but you knew going there it was going to be a ripoff.
Yeah.
Right? But like, you're there for 3 days in the fucking sweltering heat doing... They all got their drugs in, so they obviously didn't take everything away from them.
Right.
Yeah,
they did a very shitty job of
right,
searching people. If like they
they
looked like
took
they
their
were
bottle of water, but they sure didn't get all the fucking and mushrooms and fucking weed that people.
Yeah, so it basically
stuck
looked
in.
like it basically looked like they went, "Hey, don't bring that in because we want to make money off you. We'll
Exactly.
ignore the drugs because you're gonna need to get drinks anyways."
Well, and then you'll fucking eat more.
Yeah.
If you fucking smoke, you're gonna get the munchies.
Yeah.
So you're gonna buy.
Yep, they just didn't want anything coming in that would take away from the money.
Oh, it's about profits. Yeah, 100%. Yep.
And fuck these promoters. Fuck every one of them. That John
Yeah.
Sheard guy, the financier or whatever. What a fucking piece of work that dude was. Holy shit. Like literally taking no blame for anything. And like, because day one, like people were enjoying it, and they were he was even talking about how like, the end of the night we had Korn come on, and oh man, that's way too much of a heavy metal like thing. Like they were amping the crowd up way too much and blah 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 blah. And I'm going, yeah, it's fucking Korn. They're coming out doing what they're getting paid to do. They're coming out getting the crowd hyped up because they are metal artists. Like you can't blame them for that shit.
And like if they had listened to the one guy that was in the meeting, back when they were putting this all together, like I'm gonna name some of the acts just offhand here: Korn, Bush, The Offspring, DMX.
Oh shit!
DMX was there. At the other stage, The Roots, Buck Cherry, Lit, Spitfire, Moby performed at this place.
Yeah.
He was on the third stage. Okay, we have Metallica, Rage. We'll get to Limp Bizkit in a little bit. Wyclef Jean, Kid Rock, Chemical Brothers, Everclear, Fatboy Slim, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, what did you Megadeth, Godsmack, Ice Cube? Like, what did you fucking think was going to happen?
Yeah.
When you put some of these groups in, now mind you, this music took me back to how angry we were at 16, 17, 18. Like our generation had a lot of angry fuck you music. But anyway, I agree. And I am not a Korn fan. Let me make this very clear. I do not care for them. I tried listening to them recently and I'm like, still don't like Korn. Not my thing. But you should have watched the fucking music video and been like, well, gee, these guys are pretty angry. I wonder what they're going to like get going from the crowd. I agree with you, Scott.
Right.
And they didn't listen to any of the young kids that were like, you don't understand the lineup you're putting together. And they were like, we want to make money.
Yeah. And these are what are popular. And in Korn, angry music, but at the same time, they weren't assholes like trying to get people to destroy shit or anything like that. No, that's not what they were about. They're just they're getting the crowd amped up. They want people jumping. They want the crowd to like start doing that giant wave of jumping. That is what metal is, especially back then.
And let's be realistic. We're two 40-year-olds watching this now. We know how dangerous that was.
Right.
But 16, 17-year-old Heather and Scotty and like these Korn guys that were in their early fucking 20s, they wouldn't have given a fuck about how dangerous that was.
Right. Like I would have been trying to make my way through the mosh pit, getting to the fucking front row.
Yeah. And like we would have been like, it's the best night ever. We would have been saying the same thing. Me as an adult watching that, I had anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, these young kids, what's going to happen to them? Korn, I got it. I was like, yeah, Korn does need to turn it down a bit. I'm like, but no, they don't.
No, that is.
I'm trying to this is 40-year-old Heather talking, not fucking early 20s and fucking teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, what did they think would happen?
Right. And and it's, and they could have done something to where, this lineup of all these different bands from musicians, all they had to do was literally line up who performed after who specifically to kind of like counterbalance the audience.
Well, they did with Bush, because I'll give Gavin Rossdale credit. Came out and sung Swallowed and brought them all back down. Yeah,
I was going to say, because Bush, because Gavin Rossdale came out and, I love Bush as well. But
yeah, you do.
But no, he came out and he was able to calm the crowd down. But the fact that it was basically put on his shoulders to calm this crowd down again, that is not cool. What should have happened is probably Korn should have been like middle of the day, earlier in the day, get the crowd hyped up, and then more mellower shit going on like throughout the rest of the day. Like the way they lined this up was just, yeah, like once again, like that one guy said, no one listened to me. I was trying to tell them this is the performers you're putting on here. We got to figure this out here in a different way.
I agree with you 100%. I'm looking at the set right now. So that afternoon, Sugar Ray was billed. He never showed up.
Shocker.
You had Jamiroquai, who is
Right?
very chilled.
Yeah.
Live, which was one of my favorite groups, also very chilled.
Yep.
Sheryl Crow. And then you threw in on DMX, Offspring, Korn, and Bush. So the last four groups you had were hardcore groups. Like they're all, and it sounds great for a lineup. Honestly, on paper, that makes sense to me too. You want the relaxed stuff in the afternoon, the more intense stuff in the evening. I think the problem is that they thought a whole bunch of teenagers and a bunch of 20-year-olds in a band that are now going out to 200,000 people chanting their name. We're going to have the common sense to be like, oh man, this could be a dangerous situation. That was on the adults that organized the fucking event.
Yeah, because
right?
The band members going out to a crowd like that's intoxicating.
And a bunch of 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Like Korn were fucking babies.
Right.
Like those guys were maybe a year or two older than the people that were at that concert.
Right.
Like, and you're going to ask them to be the ones to fucking navigate the situation. Gavin Rossdale, if you look at him, he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
That's why he probably went out there and was like, fuck, I don't want to fucking stampede and something to happen to me. That's why he opened with Swallow.
Yeah.
Right. And he came out with their shirts on. They're hot. They look good. People are still jiving them. They probably, because I thought, are they going to come out with Machine Head? Or is that what they're going to fucking open with?
Right.
Right. And I agree with you, Scotty. I think that the promoters blamed young people for being young people.
Yep, and blame bands.
They blame bands for being young people in a band.
Yeah.
Like
when they had no idea what type of music they were talking about.
Well, and like you have a whole bunch of people in that situation, and we'll get to the horror part of it because Scott and I are just debating band tracks and stuff now, and it's just because we're frustrated over like the lack of ownership. But by Sunday, yes, the conditions were horrible. We're talking like porta potties and shit everywhere, like fucking tainted water, no food, trash, garbage. Like you have 200,000 people and you have a generation like Woodstock 99. You look at the music that played there. It was all like love, anti-war.
Oh, you mean in the 60s?
Yeah, 1969.
Oh, I think it's 99. My bad.
Sorry, 1969. Listen to fucking Limp Bizkit. I've gone back and listened to Limp Bizkit. They were angry. Now they annoy me because I'm like, shut the fuck up, Fred Durst. Life isn't that hard. But at like 18, 17 years old, 16 years old, I was like, yeah, Fred fucking gets it. Like every other kid there. Our generation was raised on angry fucking music. Bush, Korn, DMX, Insane Clown Posse. Like that is the groups that people were like, oh yeah, they fucking get me.
Yeah.
They fucking get me. So you have a whole bunch of people. This isn't about peace, love. And by the way, in 1969, the food was free, by the way, too. So, you made this into a profit event with a huge group of people in an enclosed area. And you wonder by Sunday, you have fucking overflowing porta potties and then
because I was gonna say like they didn't hire enough people for cleanup.
Nope.
They didn't hire enough security.
Nope.
In fact, they were bringing kids off the street to be security instead of actual professionals that are and paying them. They were just getting people to come in for free because they could be part of the experience. And like this was a fucking disaster from the beginning of planning it. Like because the fact that they cut costs, that is the biggest issue of this all. Is like you cut costs and you fucking, instead of having like hiring your own like food vendor people that would have, made a profit and like sold things for a little more of a higher price, you outsourced it. And these people, by the end of day 3, were selling bottles of water at $12 a bottle because there was no fucking rules in place. And they're just like, fuck it, we can just raise our prices to whatever the fuck we want.
Right. So you got a generation that's raised on angry music. You got raves going on with Flatboy Slim. You got people dropping E. You got people not sleeping. You got drugs and alcohol all weekend. You had 200,000 people. And one guy from who organized 1969 was like, well, in 1969, we didn't want police there. It's a different culture.
Yeah.
And you set it up differently. So, basically what Scott and I are getting up to is at the time everything changed. So Red Hot Chili Peppers performs. Let's get down to the nitty gritty here. Oh. Sunday night, they go on stage, they're performing. for some reason, the promoter that did the 1969 Woodstock and is now doing the 1999 thinks that they need to do some kind of peace visual because of the gun violence in the United States with Columbine and other such things.
Yeah, which, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, too bad it didn't work because you guys still get a lot of school shootings. But,
right. But, well, I mean, well, obviously it didn't work because look what happened.
Well, yes, and then that too.
Because the idiot thought it was a good idea to give out fucking candles and lighters to drunk people who are already pissed off and angry.
Hi. Like, honestly, it was the dumbest shit I've ever seen. So fires break out. And we're not talking fires like, oh, look at the little bonfire. We're talking like fucking blaze the motherfucking roof down fires. It looked like a scene from The Purge. Yeah. I was watching this and I'm like, wow, this looks like The Purge. I even looked at pictures online before we recorded. I'm like, looks like The Purge.
Yeah.
It literally looked like The Purge and it got real bad. So, what I learned from this documentary is, one, the music in our youth was very angry. Everyone was mad. I have totally gone back on everything I said I wouldn't do. Good Charlotte said, and I quote, get a good job. That's what they said to me. Go to university. Go to school. That's what they said to me. Get a good job. I don't want to be like you. I am definitely like them. I have become them. I have a good job. I have a house. I have totally gone against all the things that I said I wouldn't do. Sorry, Corn. Sorry, Limp Bizkit. Sorry, the Good Charlotte. Sorry, the Fall Out Boy. Sorry, Billy Talent. I definitely also engage in capitalism all the time. But I think this movie this documentary just highlights how you cannot recreate something with a culture that worked before and make it profitable.
Right. Well, and especially having promoters who are like older than us at the time making this and not getting the teenagers that they're trying to promote it to.
No, or not even, they should have had a police presence there. They should have had paid security. They should have not outsourced. If they wanted to make money, they should have found a way to sell merch. They could have sold Woodstock 99 t-shirts and made a fucking bargain.
Yeah.
Like there was so many ways they could have handled this instead of trying to make it like Woodstock 69 when it wasn't. Woodstock 69 was at the height of the Vietnam War. And it was about, peace, love, happiness, free food, this and that. Performers were just there to perform because they wanted to be there. Every single performer that was at fucking Woodstock 99 was there for a paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But that's why they were there.
That's their career.
Right. So it wasn't about a social movement. Limp Bizkit wasn't up there being like, oh, we're going to talk against gun violence in schools. He was telling people to engage in violence, which is fine. That's what Limp Bizkit was about.
Yeah.
But you're making it into something that it wasn't, right?
Yeah, and speaking of Limp Bizkit, we gotta highlight the fact that every one of the promoters, when not taking blame for them, like for their own faults, blamed everything on Limp Bizkit, and it's like
everything on Fred Durst.
Yeah, like he was instigating it and blah blah blah. It's like no, that is their music. He was doing what he was like out there to do, what he was paid to do.
You mean a 22-year-old kid who's been given fame and money and fortune and a group of people that were worshiping him and a fucking van of chicks waiting to fucking suck his dick in the back? Didn't think about his actions before when he like, come get the fuck out of here. Like
once again, being a young band like that and seeing 200,000 people shouting your name and getting into your music, that's going to be intoxicating as fuck, and you are going to just live in that moment. And
like, absolutely. And the last point I'm going to make on this, it's about something else. So there was a concert that was happening in downtown Toronto. It was called Spice was going to be coming. She's a soca star. And my friend Anne wanted to go. And she's like, you want to go? I said, no, my days of that shit are done. I went to Edgefest. I went to a Lilith Fair. I did the festivals. I did the big outdoor performances. I know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And at fucking almost pushing 40, I don't want to fucking do it.
Right.
Because you got to be a young person who has no fear to go to something like Woodstock 99. Like, I would never go to Woodstock 99 at this age. I'd be like, what?
No, if I was going to go to something like that, I would go for a day and then be like, I'm done. Go home.
Yeah, you wouldn't even stay the night.
Yeah.
I would leave after, like, I saw the band I wanted to see.
Yep, then I'm done.
Right? But at that age, you don't think about consequences like that. You don't fucking care.
Right.
You're just there to have a good time. And that's what they were capitalizing on us, but they didn't want to keep people safe, which they didn't do.
Yep.
People safe, like sanitary wise, physically wise, everything. And then they wonder why and then they had high energy bands and then tried to blame a bunch of 20-year-old guys who got up on stage and and you could tell the difference from Sheryl Crow's reaction, who was probably close to 30 at the time, to the people. Like it blows my fucking mind how they didn't think about that. They're blaming a guy from a band who was 22 years old, who was standing up there having people worship the ground he walked on, and got mad that he wanted that. Like it just makes zero sense. It makes zero sense.
And it's funny because they, like I said, they were blaming Limp Bizkit, but yet I didn't really hear them blaming Anthony Kiedis too much when they told him from Red Hot Chili Peppers, after they were setting things on fire, hey, go back on stage and try to calm the crowd down. And what does he do? They go out there and play Fire by fucking Jimi Hendrix.
Right?
It's like, yeah, that is the wrong fucking song. Like, that is an asshole thing to do, because they were in their 30s at that time, because they've been around since the 80s.
Oh yeah, they were older.
So they knew better. He just went out there and just fucking, fuck it. And it was ridiculous.
Right. It was, and like, in all fairness, it wasn't on the, and you said it, Brett, it wasn't on the artist anyway. Yeah. I just think you're expecting a bunch of artists who are young and crowds that is young and full of drugs and alcohol and no sleep and shitty conditions to like just sit there and fucking the whitest crowd I've ever seen. Was there anyone that was black there beside the lady from MTV? Like, holy fuck, was this like the WASP convention? Like, it was crazy how many white people were at this event. Was there anyone of color?
I think there was. I mean, it seems like there would have been, like, especially for some of the performers that were there, but
you would think, but like, I didn't see anybody. Like, it was very, like, it almost looked like a rich white kid event, to be honest with you. It looked like the Fry Festival, or like, what's that one? The big one that takes place, like, the one in, the rich one, Coachella.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm
like no a trashy trailer trash version of Coachella. There's all these white kids that and the frat stuff, and anyway, you want to see an actual purge come to life, watch this documentary, because it is basically like a bunch of white people rioting for 3 episodes. It's really crazy.
And you will be so angry at that John Shear guy, because at the end they talk about people were sexually assaulted, women were sexually assaulted, a couple people were murdered. And his response was so nonchalant. I just wanted to reach through the fucking screen and punch him in the face, because he's just like, well, yeah, he's like, it's sad that happened, but there were 200,000 people there, and that's like a city. So I mean, in the city, that type of stuff happens all the time. It's like, this was all on you, you fucking piece of shit.
Because you didn't have the security, and you guys treated it like it was something it wasn't. Anyway, this is real life horror. It will get you fired up. Scott and I have been this passionate even about movies we talked about in a long time.
I mean, I think this is the longest we've ever talked on a What's New segment.
Yeah, we apologize that we tried to make this horror adjacent as much as we can, because we did tie it back to how fucking gross it gets and violent it becomes and scary. There's a part where they swarm a specific area, and it's scary.
Yeah, the poor sound guys in that section.
Yeah. There's a second area too.
Oh,
at the end.
Yeah.
Right. And it just shows you what the crowd mentality can do. And I think for me, it just took me back to how angry music was in our youth.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like every generation has their stuff. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing. Okay. It reflected how people felt, and that's fine. I'd be really interested. I love that the Korn guy was on there.
Because because he's an adult now, and he's got a life, a wife, kids, and shit like that.
But he was, and I agree with what he said. He's like, I was just doing what I was supposed to do. He's like, I was performing, and he's right.
Yeah,
he's right.
Yeah, and he even said what everyone else is screaming at the TV. This was the mess up on the promoter's end.
It was.
He's like, these promoters didn't know what the fuck they were doing. He's like, I've worked with millions of promoters throughout my career, and these ones were the most careless and didn't care.
And it's a very interesting documentary. What I learned is I still don't like Korn, but
I was a huge fan of Korn, and I don't like their songs nearly as much as I used to, but I still can jam out to Korn here and there.
I will say, from watching them perform, because that audio is not enhanced, it's from 1999.
Yeah,
they were very good live.
They're
give
amazing
them
live.
Credit. And same with Limp Bizkit. Excellent.
Yeah.
Fred Durst was excellent live. And Limp Bizkit isn't my go-to either. I know the major songs, but I definitely would be more of the Jamiroquai Jewel live Tragically Hip, those groups that performed than I would be the other stuff. But
yeah, and I was totally Korn, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, Offspring, Metallica, Megadeth.
I really like the Offspring, actually. I think their songs are funnier as they get older too.
Oh yeah.
They've really aged well with their songs and what they sing about. They managed to like grow with the generation that listen to them. But check out this documentary. It's great talking piece, especially if you're like Scott, you're between the ages, I would say, of 37 and 45. You're really gonna fucking like get really passionate about it because
you were there during that time. Like you may not have been there, but you were you knew about it and you knew.
Well, that was our pop culture. That was our time. That was our like, battle cry was that type of music.
And how even me at that age, angry teenage Scott, I'm watching this and going, oh, fuck that. I would not want to be there.
Right. Well, and like, you get it though. You get the mentality. Like, I remember being at Edgefest, and that was a really small in comparison to this. And that's a party mentality too.
Yeah, same with.
But it was kept in control because there was security and a lot of it, and they threw people out. The moment you were causing too many problems, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I don't care how much you paid for your fucking ticket. You're gone.
Yep. I mean, shit. I've went to Ozfest many, 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 many years, and I got kicked out because we were smoking weed.
Yeah.
Like it happened, because you had security you had security that was watching thousands upon thousands of people, but you had enough people that security was walking through crowds, making sure shit was safe.
Right. And we hated that as a teenager. We're like, oh, fuckers don't understand. I get it now.
Yeah.
They didn't want this shit to happen. That's why. They didn't want a fucking like, I remember I went to see Hanson when I was in grade 9, and my girlfriends and I went and we sat on the grass, and that was still the most intense concert I had ever been to. And they were not prepared for the security they needed there.
I can imagine.
Young women trying to get to these guys.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was climbing up fences. And we're talking 14, 15, 16-year-old girls.
Right.
Like there wasn't a lot of dudes there. It was mostly chicks, white chicks. And it was nuts. So you need, no matter what the concert is, you need crowd control. Yeah, and if you don't have it and you don't have rules put in place, as much as I hated that shit as a teenager, watching it as from an almost 40-year-old version, I get it. But the fact that they're trying to blame a whole bunch of 20 and fucking teenagers for reacting the way they did is just scapegoating
100%,
what the real problem was, right? But anyway, check out this documentary. That's it for a Friday Nightmares episode, because our Polish horror section is not nearly going to be as exciting as this Netflix documentary. Maybe Scott and I will just change it to documentaries we watch on Netflix that make from our youth and that we care about, because apparently that's what like brings us to life. So when we come back, we'll talk about Polish horror films, one that we didn't get fucking at all. So hopefully someone else watched this film and they can explain it to us. But so after these messages, we'll be right back.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about Polish horror films and I don't know, one other film that both Scott and I don't get what happened. So probably like this is Sander Kane's fucking #1 movie ever. Sander. Well, gonna make guys like, I don't know why you didn't like this movie. It's very deep and I have a very good understanding of it. And we're like, but we didn't understand. Is he a human or a bear?
Yeah, I was like, after logging the rating and putting it on Letterboxd, no one I follow has seen this movie.
Well, Sander Kane, you need to watch this movie because you need to tell us why we're wrong.
Yes,
and how curious. Good it is, because it has a 3.4 fucking rating on Letterboxd. 3.4.
Yep.
3.4. It must be because it's a 70s film. It must be.
Yeah, and our record with our track record with 70s film is not the best for
God and I do not like 70 films. We only like films that are made in the 2000s. We do not like older films.
I appreciate certain older films.
Yeah, did you appreciate this? I appreciated when it ended.
Yeah, this one. Well, yeah, let's just jump right into it. So
yeah, we might as well. All right, Scott, lead us in with this gem.
All right. So when we decided to do Polish horror films, actually, I guess I kind of decided. Like, I just
Yeah,
said,
you did. You did.
I was like, hey,
You're
let's
the
do
leader.
Polish horror films, and here's a list of movies we'll cover, and here's where they can be found. All of these, except for the last one, can be found on Tubi, which is awesome. So everybody, if you want to watch these films, they are available on Tubi.
On the Tubi.
And the last one is available on Netflix. But the first one we are going to talk about, I was just like, okay, this one's gotten some pretty good reviews. People have talked highly of it. Like, one of the better Polish films to come out like in that time, in that era. So I was like, let's give it a shot.
Oh my God.
And it's one that I've never heard anyone talk about, but it's called Locus, Lokis, a manuscript of Professor Wittenbach, and it was released September 25th, 1970. The synopsis is a pastor studying folklore in remote parts of 19th century Lithuania is invited to stay with a young nobleman who the locals believe is the son of a bear. What attracted me to this and why I picked it is because it said that it was basically a story of a werebear, which, werewolf lore, there's always different were creatures. So there's were cats, were tigers, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, this could be interesting, and a 70s take on it. I'm not sure what happened. This was a chore to get through. It was only an hour and 40, but my God, did like every 10 minutes feel like a half hour.
Yeah.
Like, it was very dialogue heavy, which, I have no problem with. But it just didn't even feel like a horror movie, and it felt almost like a drama. I was really confused on what happened by the end. I even told Heather, like, I finished the movie, messaged her going, yeah, this movie was a chore to get through. I just finished watching it, and I don't remember what I just watched. Like, that's how much this stuck with me. Like, it was well acted, well filmed, all that, but man, the pacing in this was a fucking chore.
So, like, the professor arrives on a train, and on the train, there's some really nice ladies dressed in some nice dresses. And then we get to see some great animal cruelty.
Yeah, with the Roma people treating bears horribly.
It was pretty hard to watch. That was I had to actually fast forward it eventually because I couldn't take it anymore. Yeah. This movie's dumb. I appreciate that people out there like it, and you know what, if it's your thing, that's awesome, but it wasn't a horror movie. I don't know why it's stated that it is horror in the sense that we spent an hour and 40 minutes watching it. Apparently the main guy in it is a bear, but he's a human, but he's a bear, and sometimes he gets too aggressive when he's dancing with women and he mauls them like bears. And
oh, so that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah. She says, you're treating me like a bear, because he was too aggressive.
Good Lord.
I don't get what the professor was doing. I don't understand what he was trying to figure out. If he was a bear or not. If he was trying to help him. I don't know.
Yeah, like, this almost felt very like, this more felt like a Hitchcock style film, just not done as good.
Yeah, I just
clear.
don't know. I read the Wikipedia to try to understand, and I was like, what? Like,
okay, so I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
okay,
I read the Wikipedia. They're like, every day Michael begins to display odd animal-like behaviors. He didn't display anything to me that was super animal-like.
Yeah, like, I didn't even realize he was a bear till like the very end when you seen the fucking paw prints that went from human to bear.
Yeah, so like his mom was attacked by a bear.
Yep.
And had him.
And then had him, and she went insane.
Because he was a bear, but in a body, and he can talk and stuff. And then he gets married, and he releases all these random animals. Oh, and he kills his bride. He rips out her throat because he was a bear.
I guess.
So he killed her. Not maybe just a psychopath, and he just killed her, but he's a bear. Yeah.
And they kill a wild bear out in the wilds. Was that supposed to be him?
I guess they go and they kill the bear.
I don't know. Riveting review, guys.
He becomes a bear, and they kill. Like, honestly, like, this movie is super confusing. So we don't recommend it unless maybe it's a Polish folklore thing that we don't understand.
Yeah.
About a guy becoming a bear, getting married, killing his bride, and then hunters come back with a bear, assuming he's the bear that they killed because he turned into a bear. You know, he's been a human the entire time.
Yeah, but somehow they know that this bear is him.
Is him. So yeah, this was the movie. It must be some kind of folklore that Scott and I didn't get. The end.
Because I will say I liked a little bit of the building of the folklore with him talking about
Yeah.
the mother was a bear, or
Yeah.
the mother got bit by a bear. She had him when she gave birth to him. She freaked out because he was a bear but was able to talk, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of a cool like little folklore story. And but then like nothing really happened.
But he wasn't a bear, he was a human.
And he was human, and
we never saw him turn into a bear. And even like when he would engage in bear-like behaviors, it wasn't even like anyway.
It was just human behaviors.
He ends up getting married to this chick and ends up killing her at the end.
I want someone that would be more into these films. So like you were saying, Xander Kane.
Yeah.
I'd be curious on your thoughts on this. Like I really
It's your time to shine, Xander.
Yep. Teach us, because you are the one that that dives into more of these films more than us, and you teach us the ways of this, because we're not sure if this was supposed to be a good movie or not, because I didn't get it. I didn't think it was that good.
No, it was boring as fuck.
Yeah.
So props to if this had folklore to it. If you really like folklore, like a lot.
Like I love really folklore, but ugh.
Like you like to go to museums and read every single thing in the folklore section, even if it's boring, you may like this movie.
Yes.
Otherwise, no.
Yeah, no. I'll say this was the one and only dud of the Polish films that I picked.
This is a skip. This is a solid skip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
let's get to the next one. Yeah.
Let's get into the next one that's a lot more interesting.
More to talk about.
Yeah. So the next one is called Demon, released September 17th, 2015. I picked this one because I had heard a few podcasters back in the day talk about really enjoying this movie. So the next movie we're going to talk about is Demon, which was released September 17th, 2015. The reason I picked it is because a bunch of podcasters I listened to way back in the day had watched it, and it had made some of their top 10s. So I wanted to give this one a check out finally, because I was very curious. So Peter receives a piece of land as a gift for his upcoming wedding. While preparing the property to build a home for his new family, he finds human remains in the ground. He decides to keep the discovery to himself so that all of the wedding arrangements can go on as planned. However, the deeper he tries to keep his secret, the more he seems to be under control of something, or rather someone. And from then on, very strange things begin to happen. I fucking loved this movie. Love it. I didn't know what to expect going into this. I just knew that it revolved around a wedding day and didn't know much more than that. The acting in this I found to be just incredible, and especially from Samitra, I think her name was, the actress.
Yes.
Her performance I found really incredible, because she did a lot of acting without actually having to say a lot of lines. Like you could read everything she was going through on her face.
Absolutely.
And this, of course, is totally a relationship horror film. So fucking grab me by the heartstrings, and just like, they did such a great job of portraying like this. Like I told Heather on our in our chat, like this would have been a perfect fit for our wedding themed horror episode we did.
Oh, 100% it would have been.
Yeah, because it focuses, like the main movie focuses on everything happening during this wedding. Like even they go through the traditions of your typical wedding with like the tossing of the the veil to like behind your back and all that stuff, like the typical stuff you'd see at weddings, plus like the Polish traditions, which had a kind of a blend of Jewish traditions as well. And it talked about, and what this talks about is the Dybbuk, which is a Jewish demon, if I remember correctly, or a Jewish possession. And yeah, poor Peter ends up finding this, like the synopsis says, finds a skeletal remains on the property where he is building like his new home for him and his wife. And yeah, like he keeps it quiet because obviously the wedding's about to happen and they don't want anything happening there. And like, yeah, he just starts acting strangely and starts feeling weird and like saying things out loud that he didn't mean to say, and like fully gets possessed by this Jewish woman that was killed in an unfortunate way back in the day.
Yep.
And she is just basically a lost soul that has been sitting around in purgatory waiting for like a body to inhabit. And she comes out completely confused. She's not malevolent.
No, she's not.
She's just very confused and like distraught and doesn't want to leave the body because like she doesn't know, like, hey, this is my body. Why are you trying to get me out of it?
Yeah, totally. You're 100% right. That's the best definition I've heard.
Like it's just a very fascinating story because like
Mhm.
it's not an I mean it's I would say it's borderline horror.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of sensational stuff that happens in it, but it's very good storytelling.
Yeah.
And everyone's relationships come together really well. You see the awkwardness of the wedding with the father-in-law and the groom, and the awkward interactions he has with the mother-in-law, like that turns into the ghost. And the filming is so unique in this movie. The
Yeah.
filming is really, really well done. And I feel like his grandfather did some wrongdoings, which is what happened with that woman. I feel like she was a bride.
Mm-hmm.
And some shit happened. And I really, really enjoyed how this film came together. It's not my favorite possession film, but it's up there as something that's very entertaining and worth watching. But you got to dig relationship horror, and you got to be in it for the slow burn.
Yeah, because it was a slow burn, but to me, like, it was paced well.
Yes, I agree. It was very paced well. It kept you interested throughout it.
Yeah, maybe, and like I was saying, maybe part of that is because of my love for relationships and horror, and like,
Yeah.
and the fact that this is a different country and seeing their wedding traditions and all that stuff too. Like, I find all that stuff fascinating, learning other cultures.
I agree. I think that it's a very well done, well made, underwatched movie. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people will enjoy this, but I think it's you're moving away from a typical what we think of when we think of possession film. It's a little more subtle, and you would have to enjoy that subtleness to like this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love that they just kind of like, because I think also we're missing something, but I think there is a more like the director is trying to say something with this film.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there is something there that I'm just not grasping. Maybe
Yeah,
just
I agree.
because I'm American and don't get the culture references or whatever, but I think there is something that this movie is trying to say. And like it makes me want to rewatch it a couple times and read a couple things on it just to kind of see like what it is that it's trying to say.
I agree with you. I think this movie is trying to say something, and it's trying to figure out exactly what it is trying to say.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think like, yeah, if I understood it, probably would do an amazing job of explaining it. I just don't like, it's just beyond me.
Absolutely.
And I'm not smart enough to be like, oh, I get it. Cause no, I don't.
No, we don't pretend here in Friday's Nightmares that we're something that we're not.
But no, this is definitely one of those movies where I do want to start finding some articles on it and reading about it, because it really intrigued the hell out of me. And this is become one of my favorite possession films because it's subtle. It's not your typical like I'm gonna possess you and now I'm gonna kill everybody because I've possessed you and I'm an angry spirit. Blah blah blah. No, this is just subtle, and it's and if there is possession out there, I feel it is more like this than it is like the sensationalized shit that we see on TV and movies.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was really well done. I didn't like it as much as you did. I think it was definitely more your thing than it was mine. I found it a little slow for me, but I recommend people watching it.
Yeah, this is a high recommend. And once again, why Tubi is fucking awesome, because they have shit like this.
Yeah.
They have shit like this that no other streaming place really has. And you people that are not on Tubi need to get on Tubi, because holy shit, they have an amazing collection. And yeah, this is a high recommend for me. I love this movie. It probably would have been in my top 50 had I'd seen it.
Right? In that year that it came out, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, top 50 like all-time movies.
Really?
Like, from our episode that we did. Yeah, it would have probably been in that list.
That's amazing. That's really cool, Scotty.
Like, I was fucking blown away by this.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, I guess we can jump on into the next one. This one I know Heather definitely really, really loves.
Yeah, it's a good film.
So the next one is Werewolf, or in the language that it came from, the Voltkolek. September 19th, 2018. 8 children who have just survived the Holocaust and find refuge in an abandoned orphanage, only to be surrounded on all sides by a pack of bloodthirsty wolfhounds.
Babies.
In other words, good boys.
Oh man, the dog training in this was actually really good. So this is a really a different take on what happens to Jewish children during the Holocaust. These children managed to escape, and they're kind of stuck at this orphanage until they run into another German guy who tries to fuck shit up, who's a Nazi, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting watching their relationships with each other and how they manage food shortages and how the one guy or the one young man is trying to mimic basically what he saw the German Nazis do to kind of get rid of these wolves that have surrounded them. These dogs, they basically are shepherds that have surrounded them and are making it impossible for them to leave because they've been trained to kill people that are Jewish. Now, here's the thing. The second time watch of this, I was like, take off your fucking jacket that has the stripes on it.
Yeah.
Like throughout the whole time, I was like, why is no one taking off their jacket with the stripes on it?
Right. I didn't even think about that.
Like, because that's how they knew they were Jewish.
Yeah.
That's how they knew they were a target.
That's, yeah.
Like,
100%.
now, mind you, when she runs to the truck, it's chasing her because it's been taught to chase her. But if they had not had those jackets on and started to like do commands and stuff to them, I think that it would have gone very differently.
Yep. I was gonna say, like, but yeah, like I love this movie. Like the first time I watched, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a pretty good movie. Like I enjoyed it. Like I definitely wasn't as high on it as you were at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Rewatching it, wow, I was glued to the screen. I loved every little bit of it. It's very real story.
Yes.
And like the only reason it's called Werewolf is because there is one line that one of the children says is, did these soldiers turn into wolves?
Yes.
Like he thought the soldiers transformed into wolves to kill
because of how vicious they were, right?
Yeah.
With this movie, what I find, like the horror piece of it is more of a survival film, I think. And you know, the relationships within the kids and stuff, and of course you get the one Nazi guy that shows up. But I do find the isolation and the fact that they're kind of in a situation where they do need to leave there, they need to go out and get food, very stressful. And how these kids manage to like keep going through everything they've been through is pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? The relationships of this, like, it's kind of like the Demon film too. That film focused a lot on relationships with all the family, relationships with bride and groom, relationships with the ghosts, like all that stuff. And this is another one that focuses really strongly on relationships.
Yeah, it really does. Like it's just the relationship of everybody, every child involved.
And like how the hierarchy, right? Like it's the kind of the chick and like the main other kid that seemed to kind of be running the roost kind of thing.
Yeah, because they did have an adult, like an adult orphanage lady there, but she ended up getting killed. So yeah, they were just left to kind of fend for themselves. And then you have the kid in the glasses that kind of was like the lower rung of everybody because they just for some reason were just bullies to him, treated because he was weird and like he almost seemed like a Nazi sympathizer in ways. I think is why they treated him like that.
He did, right? And it was hard to really kind of get a feel on who he was.
Yeah, like you could tell that, right? Like you could finally see it more when he when he learns the commands and like learned that they could get the dogs to obey him, and he snuck out of the house and he goes and like at first I was thinking like because I forgot like what happened in the events of this movie for the most part. When he goes and finds that like little hideout where there's the canned food, I'm like, oh, you little asshole, you've been storing food out here and just like feeding, like you're just out here like eating and being selfish yourself. And then the next morning comes around and he's back and he's got like a giant can on the table, like with plates laid out because he thought, hey, I'm bringing food for you guys. I'm like, oh, okay. So no, he went out there, risked his life to grab food for you. Unfortunately, what he grabbed was not food, but he didn't know that.
What was it that he grabbed?
They were saying it was like engine grease, but I don't know what it was. But it was like black, greasy something.
Yeah, it wasn't food.
Yeah, but he had no idea because the can wasn't opened and he just assumed it was food.
Yeah, he just assumed that it was. It was a really interesting movie on relationships, and I think the title does throw people off because you think it's going to be a werewolf film. It's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely based on, but it's probably one of the most best dog isolation horror movie that we've seen. You know, I think of the movie Prey, or was it Prey that we saw? Like that one had the potential to be good.
Had a good boy, but that was about it.
But it wasn't. It was dumb and boring. This was not dumb and boring. This was engaging. You were really interested to see what would happen. And it makes sense how they get to the point that they get to.
Yeah. Like it was, and it's like the entire time you are feeling for these kids and you're watching this hierarchy kind of break down as like, you know, they're trying to trust one another, but having distrust and like discourse amongst themselves. And like you're feeling like one may betray them to the Russian/German soldiers that are out there. And like, and you know, it's just like, it is basically, just like, you know, what a terrifying situation like this, like, and what they're forced to do and like to survive without water and food. And
it's crazy. Like when it rains, you actually get a real relief for them.
Yeah.
right? It pulls on emotions. Like these Demon in this one really pulled on your feelings. The first one, I don't know what it pulled on. Maybe it was trying to do that, but you just didn't get it. But these two did. They pulled on your emotions. They pulled on your reactions. And I think that really shone out in these two films. And I think these films were also a little political, talking about anger about Jewish, like the wrong treatment of people that were Jewish.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that obviously is a recurring issue in Polish speaking films. So, that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, I'll say, because I didn't even think about that at the time, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like this is definitely like a theme of theirs, it seems.
Right. So the final one, it definitely is not a film about any kind of social issue at all. It is basically a comedy. But I guess we'll finish off with that one.
All right. So the final movie, this is the one that is on Netflix, and that is All My Friends Are Dead, released January of 2020. Friends at a New Year's Eve party go through a whirlwind of events that exposes secrets, breaks hearts, and leads to a shocking outcome. Shocking. But this is based, I think when we talked about this movie back in 2020 or 2021 when we watched it, we were talking about it's basically American Pie meets Final Destination.
It totally is. It totally is.
Oh my God. So yeah, this is like total like frat party shenanigans.
Oh my God.
It is just ridiculously over the top and silly, but it is so fucking entertaining.
And there's things that I didn't catch watching this the first time that I did the second time. There's a part really, really early on where they come to the party and there's this guy that's a real player and he's talking to these two chicks, and his ex-girlfriend shows up and she's like, I let you pee on me. And the one like conservative boyfriend says to his girlfriend, I would never pee on you. She's like, I know. And like you realize later what impact that has. But this is just a movie on unfortunate circumstances. Like everything that happens is just leading up to like a party going absolutely as wrong as possible and chaos just occurring.
Yeah, like it all starts with the chick that's all about astronomy and an empath, and like her boyfriend not really giving her any attention and not giving two shits, so she ends up like hitting on the guy that's been secretly like taking pictures of her, that's been taking pictures of the whole party, and they go and like smoke weed and start banging, and she for some reason finds a gun and gets all excited and is like waving it around, and while they're having sex, as she's orgasming, accidentally pulls the trigger, which goes through the door, kills the host of the party. And my God. Events from there just go absolutely insane. And
this is such a sexualized movie. Like I haven't seen a movie this sexualized in a very long time. It is so...
It's horny.
It's very horny, but it's very heterosexually horny. There's only a little bit of non-heterosexual sex in it. It's very heterosexual, but oh my God, is it funny? Like, and it's all the characters come together. And, there's a rant where that older woman, well, it's not really older, she's just in her 40s, and she gives that like breakdown of like, that guy's like, but I'm in love with you. And she's like, here's what's going to happen. And she's right.
Yeah.
Like when she went over that,
in your 30s, I'm going to be in my 50s. I'm going to be one stuck taking care of kids because you're going to be wanting something new and fresh and young. So you're going to be leaving me behind. And I'm like, yeah,
probably.
100%.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And she's like, yeah, I'm the best sex you've ever had because I got 17 years of experience on top of these chicks. And like, I sat there and I was like, I thought of myself and my sexual activity from the time that I was, we'll say in my early 20s to now. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot different because you've had experience. Like, it's true. Like, it's true. Like, you learn like what works and what doesn't, and you're more comfortable with your body, and you're more like, she's 100% right. And I'm like, that's why it's the best sex that this like 22-year-old has ever had.
Yeah. Because
she's, or like, we'll say 25 or whatever age, she's almost 30. So she's like in her 40s. Like, of course it is. Of course. Right. Because like, what, anyway, I just thought that was the most interesting dialogue. Because I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, that like went over my head. I don't remember it sticking with me. But this time around, I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, like and it's got some real like conversations going on. While this movie is very sexual, very hetero, all that, it does have some very realistic conversations in it. Like, like the conservative guy and his girlfriend that he's getting ready to propose to, she's sexually frustrated because like she's not getting
what she needs from him. Yeah.
And she's talking to his sister about that, and like And then, what happens, like, I mean, obviously the way she handles that later is just awful, the way she calls him out. And like, and then of course he reacts poorly, but then like, it turns into this like crazy sexual like thing with golden showers and all sorts of shit going on.
Yeah, like golden showers on Netflix was something I never thought I would see before.
Right.
But here we are with All My Friends Are Dead. Like, yeah, totally.
And it's just it's funny as hell. Like, but yeah, this is why I say it's like American Pie, because it's like you said, it's very hetero, and to the point where the older woman is in a room with two younger dudes who like scored her some coke, and she's like, luring them to
some coke. It's actually baking soda and like, what did they mix it with? Baking soda and
something else.
Oh fuck. Anyway, and she's pretending that it's getting her high.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, it's so funny.
But like, she's having them like say, "Oh, well, what would you do to me? I want you to show me on him."
Oh my gosh,
and
it's so
like
funny.
And it's funny as hell, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's definitely the American Pie humor. Like, oh no, like guys doing another guy things. Oh, this is so gross. And then by the end, they're like showing like, what could have happened like in heaven or whatever, and they're like together as a couple and shit.
Oh man, it was so great. Like, it was just really, I think when they all die, because literally like you see at the beginning, like, and it's the two cops that are in it that are coming in to see the crime scene. You see the crime scene at first, and then the movie basically goes backwards and shows you how it all got to that point. And it's just like the perfect storm of shit that happens that leads to that crime scene. And then they're all in the afterlife, apparently having a much better life. And it's just, this is a movie that it takes every single stereotype, sexual stereotype, and just puts it over the top. It's just an over the top fucking film, completely over the top.
Yep. And stereotypical characters that are way over the top as well. And just, it's very just, I don't think there's anything like meaningful about this. It's just more, this is just dumb fun.
I would definitely agree that there is nothing meaningful about this movie. It is supposed to be American Pie on fucking steroids and dumb shit. And, if you watched American Pie and you enjoyed it for what it was, this though, I will say where American Pie lacked consent.
Yes.
And some other issues and more homophobia. I didn't find this one was openly homophobic. It was just situations where somebody was uncomfortable with having his guy friend pretend to bang him in the ass. I could get. Like, I probably may not want someone to do that to me either, right? I didn't feel that was like a homosexual thing. I felt that was more of a comfort thing. But I did find that the sexual things that happened were all consensual.
I'll say for the most part.
What are you thinking? The two chicks.
Yeah, those two chicks were.
They were basically rapers.
Yeah, because like the
You're
French
right.
guy,
I forgot about them.
The French guy, like, he obviously was into it and doing it. Like, he just was confused what was going on because he couldn't speak the language. But the part that I'm thinking with those two was the guy that was tied up. I forget why he was tied up and gagged.
Oh,
and
that
then
one.
Those girls come in and just start having their way with him, like, because they're was.
I forgot about that scene. You're right. So there is some definite issues with consent. Then I take back what I said.
Right, but it's a different kind of consent, because usually the consent came, like, the no consent was on the guy's end in a lot of the American Pie movies, and this is two women.
Yeah, it kind of switched it around, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting film. I think if you skipped over this horror comedy and you like raunchy, over the top kills, over the top silliness, like just ridiculousness on film, you'll enjoy this. For what it is, right? But that would be probably my main kind of statement with it.
Yeah, because it's like, just go in knowing this is not serious and just to have fun with it. It's silly, it's ridiculous, and you're going to have some good laughs.
Exactly. I agree 100%. So Polish horror, either it's so weird that we don't get it, really good and relationship deep, or completely out there and overly inappropriate and sexual humor. So that covers our Polish horror movies that we've watched.
And fun. That totally makes sense, because I am part Polish, so people don't get me. I'm very relationship heavy, and I'm also over the top.
You are over the top sexual too. So for our Out of the Dark segment, I was saying to Scott yesterday, what do you want to talk about? And then I was thinking, I'm like, man, I'm really tired of people posting about spooky season. Do you want to talk about when spooky season starts, really starts? He said yes. So where this topic came up, I'll give some kind of clarity before I'll get Scott's opinion on it. So being part of a horror podcasting community, I'm sure as many of you are aware of, if you're a part of any kind of horror Facebook groups, around this time of year, you see the memes of like, can't wait for summer to end, can't wait for fall, trade in my, summer for fall nights. And then, you get like the horror movie ones of how many more days till Halloween, spooky season starts now. And like people really needing to declare that they're horror fans. Like I feel like this is for some reason around the time of year that people need to get out their horror flags and they need to be like, I'm a horror fan. I watch horror movies. And now until October 31st is my time to shine. And I find it a little annoying. So that's my start, but I'll let Scott talk about his thoughts on it.
Yeah, because I will say, do whatever makes you happy, sure. But it does get a bit ridiculous sometimes, like especially when 4th of July happened and the very next day people are like, oh, it's time for spooky season. Halloween is upon us because it's the next holiday. And I'm going, guys, it is still middle of summer. I mean, yes, obviously get excited for it if that is something that you are really looking forward to and you're happy about. Sure, okay. But at the same time, let us people that just enjoy each and every season enjoy our seasons. They don't last long. Like, I'm once again, I'm saying, everybody enjoys things differently. Okay, sure.
Yeah. We're not saying, just so we're clear here, Scott and I are not raining on anyone's spooky parade.
Yeah.
If come August, July 2nd, you are 4th or 5th, you are like double down, can't wait for Halloween, and you post can't wait for Halloween, that's great. But where I find the shift bothers me is where it becomes like, well, if don't get mad at me for liking horror movies because I do. I like horror movies, and like no one cares. Like if you really have someone in your life, honestly, or someone on your Facebook who is like, you're a loser for watching horror movies, why are they still friends with you on your Facebook?
Right.
Like as grown-ups, why would you feel the need to shit on someone? Like, hey, you like that, that's awesome, but it's not a fronting game. And I feel that's what happens around this time of year. We get horror fans who decide to front on each other and front on other people. Like, not everybody likes Halloween. Not everybody, and there's no competition to who's the best horror fan.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of people out there that thinks there is, but there actually isn't.
Right. And being a horror fan, yes, I do love the Halloween season and all that. Like it's, it is my favorite holiday. Yes, I do love it. Because I do love like the chillier nights like that are like with the rain and like the colors and the leaves and the decorations and all that. Yeah, I absolutely love it. But I'm not going to be going any extra with my horror movie watches because I literally do this all year round. So there's nothing exciting about that. Like, sure, I'll watch like Halloween themed horror films, but I'm also the type that'll watch Halloween themed horror films whenever the fuck I feel like it. I don't care. Just like I'll watch Christmas movies whenever I feel like it. I don't have a reason. Like I do love the season, but I am also one that besides winter, I want to enjoy every season to its fullest. Because the part I in the summer, I love summer. Like, yeah, there are some really fucking hot ass days that I'm like, oh, okay, this sucks, but I'll stay inside. No big deal. But I love going to the beach. I love doing all these outdoor activities. I love all that shit like during the summer. And I want to enjoy that. For me, we'll kind of jump into this a bit, but for me, I would say spooky season for me truly starts in September.
Yeah, I would agree.
Once September hits, okay, I will start focusing on doing a lot of the spooky season stuff, going to haunted houses, going to apple orchards, doing like the fall stuff, like having more bonfires and just like doing a lot of this fall activity, going and seeing like just walking a trail with fall leaves because the colors are beautiful, especially for us that has like season changes like in the north. So like Michigan and Ontario, like we do have that season change where, bright green leaves turn orange, red, yellow, brown, like and it's beautiful. And it's a sight to behold. But like, like that is when September starts for me. Like back in the day, I would be like, oh, September's here. I am going to do my countdown to Halloween, like start doing movie watches. Now I'm just like, I think it's because I podcast and I watch movies so much more now that I'm just like,
Yeah.
I really like, unless there are a bunch of Halloween films I've never seen before that I'll try to squeeze in. I'm like, I'm not changing my watching activities. Like, I'm just going to be doing more fall and Halloween related outdoor activities or parties.
Yeah, totally. And here's the thing: if you are somebody that started spooky season celebrations and you have skeletons all over your house and you have a jack-o'-lantern outside on July 5th, I'm not telling you that you can't do that. I'm not saying you can't post that on Facebook. What I'm saying is I don't see the reason why people front like we're part of a fucking gang that needs to own its own like fucking turf. Like I see really aggressive memes out there about it's spooky season for me and you better like it. Well, actually other people don't have to. They don't. I don't have anyone that really likes doing Halloween stuff but Scott, which is why it's such a pleasure that Scott's going to come up the weekend of Halloween so we can do this stuff together. But I don't have a big group of friends that wants to go to haunts. I watch a lot of horror movies alone, and that's okay. I don't need other people to enjoy what I enjoy and then me front about it being like the best time of the year. I feel the same way that people are over the top about fucking Christmas, just so we're clear. Like, and I like Christmas too. I think it's a fun holiday. I think everything's fun. I find for horror fans particularly, and I get it. Maybe in your life you were bullied for liking horror movies. I get it. You know, maybe for you, but to make it look like Halloween's been ostracized child that no one cares about, that is not true. Halloween is probably one of the most popular fucking holidays of the year in North America.
And it's the most profitable.
Like, look at fucking Spirit Halloween, everybody. That's a store that goes across this country, meaning Canada, the United States, and it's fucking packed. People love that shit. Halloween parties, pumpkin themed shit. It's everywhere. There's a reason why the pumpkin spice latte exists at Starbucks. It's not because fall and Halloween are fucking hurting for attention.
Right.
Like, no one has said to you ever, you can't enjoy Halloween, much like no one said that you can't put up a Christmas tree, but I digress. I think it's just, for me, I don't care when you start celebrating spooky season, Christmas, whatever. I'm just tired of people feeling like they need to front about it. Like, I'm just tired of that, because if you really do have people in your life that are shitting on you for liking horror movies, which I've had, don't get me wrong, I've had that. My parents think it's weird. And I just said to them, I'm like, well, I like it.
Yeah.
And I have a good time with it. Like, I don't need to justify it any more than that.
Right.
I don't know. I think that's where the spooky season thing begins to irritate me, is I feel people do it over the top to almost make other people feel isolated because they feel isolated. And I just don't get that.
Yeah, like there was a meme that I'd seen like this year, and I think I've seen it last year too, but it was just like, let me enjoy like bringing in Halloween, celebrating Halloween early, blah, blah, blah. I'm not telling you how to live yours. I'm like, well, you kind of are by posting this, because there are a bunch of people that are on your Facebook page, like me, and probably a bunch of others that were basically like, yeah, go do you, be you.
Yeah.
But you're coming on, like posting this and coming on our page going, yeah, but I don't want to be judged for doing this. So you need to shut up. I'm like, well, you're kind of judging me for enjoying the summer then. It's like,
well, and like, what do they want you to do? Put pumpkins all over your page and be like, yay, I support your decision. Like, you need to be comfortable with, if that's something that you like to do, then it.
Yeah, let's just do it. Fuck it. Don't give a shit about anybody else.
I'm so excited for Halloween. This is amazing. But memes like that are ridiculous. No one is stopping you from liking fucking Halloween.
Yeah.
No one. Don't worry, there's a lot of money to be made in the holiday. I can assure you, no one wants to stop you from liking Halloween.
Yeah, candy companies make a fucking shitload. Costume companies make a shitload.
Like Canada's Wonderland which is a major theme park here. Universal fucking Studios, all of them capitalize on Halloween. Where are you thinking that you are an outsider in society for liking fucking Halloween? You're not.
In fact, Halloween and Christmas are the biggest holidays around.
Right. And they're marketed really well. So for me, I'm like you, Scott, spooky season, or when I start to get geared up for Halloween, usually mid to end of September. Usually the month of October, I try to do something Halloween themed every year. So you've seen some years I go to Safari Niagara, where myself and my friends' kids, we all dress up in costumes. We like to go to an orchard, which has a haunted house and a bunch of other stuff in it that we go through. You and you'll be coming out, where I've already booked us tickets for the Ghost Walk. I'll be booking us tickets for Haunted Manor. You know, like I like to do shit like that, and you know, we'll go pick our own pumpkins and stuff. Like, but I'm not like, and you guys all better like it and not tell me I can't do it. Like, no one's telling Scott and I we can't go to Haunted Manor.
Right.
Like nobody's telling us. I know that would be funny if we get tons of messages on our Facebook not to go to page, not to go to Haunted Manor, but like, like no one's stopping you.
Yeah.
And if they are, then maybe you should talk to them about having respect for your interests. And if they don't, then maybe you need to like limit your contact with them.
Yep. And all I gotta say is embrace you. Like if this is what makes you, you embrace it. Don't be ashamed of it. Like be proud of it. But at the same time, like, just be respectful.
Yeah, like, or don't feel like you need to front with people and start fights because they're still excited about summertime. And like, as a horror fan, I can like all seasons.
Yeah.
Like I love the summer. And guess what? There's a whole fucking genre of summer camp movies that exist.
Mm-hmm.
Huge amount of them.
Just like there's a ton of winter horror.
Like, so for me, mid-September till the end of October, usually a month and a half, is when I engage in fall. Halloween stuff I usually keep to the month of October. That is just me. By no sense am I saying other people need to do that. That's just what I choose to do and I like doing for my own enjoyment and my own stuff.
Yep, what I do is September 1st to the end of September usually is where I'll do fall stuff, orchards, like bonfires, stuff like that, stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
Then it's October is the Halloween stuff, haunted houses, haunted hay rides, pumpkin carving,
which we're going to be doing.
Yep. And I was going to say, like, I have plans to, I'm hoping to go to a few different haunted houses because I did find some really cool ones that I've never heard of here in Michigan. That's along the lines of what yours that you sent me. It's very similar. Like yours has way more haunts to it.
Yeah.
This has, the one that I found is about out near where our good buddy Adam lives. It's somewhere around that area. And it's a haunted hayride, a haunted house, a haunted wooded trail, and a haunted maze. So there's four, and there's like horror movies being played in like the lobby area, which is outside, but like on a big screen. There'll be like classic horror films playing and stuff. So I'm like, oh, I never heard about this, thanks to Facebook's advertisements, which I never thought I'd ever say. That's how I found out about it. And I'm going, well, shit, I want to check this out. That would be a lot of fun.
For sure.
And because I really only knew of like the select few around here. Like, so yeah, finding out there's more fun shit to do. Hell yeah, I want to do it. And and I definitely love going to orchards because I am the type, like as soon as it's as soon as it's September, oh, you're damn right, I'm getting me some fucking apple cider and shit like that. I love that shit. And but I save it for that season. And
right. And like, here's the thing. If someone was like, oh man, I want to go to an apple orchard on August 31st, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, why are you going on the 31st of August and not September 1st? Like it's, I think what Scott and I are just trying to say is I'm really tired of horror fans trying to act like we're on the fucking outskirts. We're not.
No.
All right. Horror is not the outskirts that it used to be. It really isn't. We have Jordan Peele, Ari Aster, and other really great fucking directors that are pushing the envelope and making horror more mainstream. And to be quite fucking honest with you, there's a reason why anyone knows who fucking Michael Myers and Jason is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a reason why I can buy any Jason product I want at any fucking Hot Topic I want. It's well known, everybody. It's well fucking known. Okay.
Yep. I was gonna say, and Halloween is when, like, the Halloween season is when all the people that are not like us, hardcore horror fans, get into horror. They save it for that time of year. Yeah.
And let them.
Yeah. Don't be gatekeepers.
Okay. Like, enough of this, like, well, I watch horror movies fucking 12 months a year, not 2 months a year, so that makes me a real horror fan. No, you watching a fucking franchise over and over again doesn't fucking impress me. So if that's what you think a real horror fan is, that's fine. But to someone like Scott and I, who are constantly watching new films, who people listen to our show for the sole reason of listening to what 2022s are coming out, you don't see Scott and I walking around and being like, well, you guys aren't real horror fans because you don't watch as many 2022s as Scott and I do.
Right. Like, no, like, and I
Ever.
and that's another reason why I love the Halloween season, because I do see the non-traditional horror fans come out of the woodworks and be like, yay, it's this time of year, we can watch the horror films. And I'm like, I'm embracing it because I want to join you guys and watch these with you, because I love seeing other people. I'm not going to keep you from our fucking our love. Like, I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. I'm like, yeah,
And
come
why
on in.
and why
enjoy.
would you? Like, why not let people enjoy what they want to enjoy in the months? I can't imagine if I was like, gee, I'm gonna watch Elf because it's close to Christmas time, and someone being like, well, I watch Elf in July. You're not a real Christmas fan. I'd be like,
Right.
what?
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, I don't walk into one of those Christmas in July stores and they're like, do you buy Christmas decorations all year round? Do you drink eggnog in July? And I'm like, well, no. They're like, well, you don't really like Christmas then. I don't think you should belong here. Like, what kind of fucking horse shit is that? That's, I think, where my real anger comes from.
Mm-hmm.
People are allowed to watch horror movies for the month of October and not the rest of the year. People are allowed to watch 18 horror movies a day. People are allowed to watch as many 2022 movies or as few as 2022 movies as they want.
Yep.
It is not up to you on your horror fucking high horse to decide who is allowed to enjoy things or not. What I think it's annoying, not annoying. I think it's a shame when all people do is watch franchises over and over again, because I think you miss out on other opportunities. But am I going to say you're not a real fucking horror fan? Of course not.
No,
of course not. That's not for me to decide. But it's the gatekeeping, the judgment, the wanting to be edgy on with a holiday that's supported like by tons of corporations and tons of money made off of it. Like, just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. You want to start spooky season in July? We want to be spooky season all year round. You be spooky season all year round. You do you.
Yep.
There's lots of stores
that don't be gatekeepers about it.
But don't get mad or try to make it like it's some kind of movement. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, Halloween is for the kids. Like, that is originally what it was like. Well, I mean, obviously, like the pagan stuff back in the day, but
of course,
like, when it became commercialized, it was all about kids going trick or treating and getting costumes. And obviously, like, me getting dressed up and going door to door trying to get candy from people at my age, I might get looked at kind of weird. But you know what? We need to change that, and we need to make it so you can go door to door and get those airplane shots of alcohol for us adults. Damn it.
Well, and never assume because someone looks like an adult of why they're trick or treating.
Exactly.
I think a lot of this comes down to stop trying to be edgy and like a punk rocker and like that you're at a Limp Bizkit concert in 1999 when someone challenges you on horror films. If someone really challenges your liking of horror films, there's something wrong with them, not you.
Right.
All right. Second of all, everyone's allowed to watch things whenever they want to. You can watch it all year round, or you can just watch it the month of October. That's fine. Everyone is welcome. 3,
exactly.
If you truly support Halloween spooky season, then go out and go to these orchards, go to these haunts, pay the money on these things. These people put a lot of fucking money into running these haunts and running these orchards and running these events. Put your money where your mouth is. Unless of course you have an issue where you can't go in public. I totally respect and understand that. Then find a way that you can support by maybe buying horror movies or whatever it may be, buying merch. Because if you really want to support the spooky season, then you need to pay for spooky season things, not sit there on Facebook and share memes about spooky season.
Right.
That's actually not supporting spooky season. Those are my 3 things.
And I will give a shout out because there is 2 people in our podcast community that truly do embody and embrace and support spooky season. And that is Dan and Lacey from Cut to the Chase.
I knew you were going to say them.
Because I love watching them during this time of year, because they do all the spooky season shit, which is great. They go out and support it. Like, you should if you're going to be like a true lover of that season.
Well, and they're the first people to get excited about spooky season, but they actually go out and they do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I find it, I agree with you, Scotty. And every year I'm doing shit. Every year I'm throwing my money at these orchards
and I love
haunts.
watching like the stuff you do, because you get,
yeah.
Because you go all out for like, especially in October, because you'll get like a different costume for each type of event.
Yeah.
So you won't have just one costume. You have like 3, maybe 4, maybe more.
Yeah, I do, and that's because I enjoy it. Like, no one comes to me and like I don't do it for fronting.
Yeah,
like, I'm not like, oh, look at me, fun. I really like Halloween. Like, obviously I do, and I have a good time with it. And I just want horror movie fans to stop acting like we're part of a movement. We're not.
Right.
Like, horror movies and Halloween isn't a movement. But it is a thing, and you are allowed to do you. Just be kind to other people, man. And like, if someone is being a dick to you about shit you like, then
just ignore them.
Fuck off. Like, honestly, like, unless it's me with Scott and Magic, that's different. I'm allowed to play Scott.
And you know what I do when that happens? I
tell me to fuck off. Yeah.
Or I tell you to fuck off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't tell me to fuck off. I've told you to fuck off more than you've ever told me to fuck off.
That's
You're
true.
so polite. You're so like, No, Heather, I would never say that. I'm like, fuck you, Scott. Fuck you. But yeah, so look forward to Scotty and I's adventures at the end of October. The Adventures of Heather and Scott.
It'll be
A found
interesting.
footage film that we're going to make of us doing.
Will Scotty make it back to Michigan, or will his
yeah.
body be part of buried in the earth at Heather's house,
Or at the haunted manor? We're just stuck performing.
Yeah, stuck in a time loop where we are stuck in haunted manor the whole time being hunted down.
You know, people have asked me, why don't I apply to work at one of these places as a scare actor?
Yeah.
And it's because they're not close enough.
Right.
Or I would.
Yeah, it's like, because I've been actually seeing a lot, and I've almost thought about doing it myself, but at the same time, I'm like, but if I did it, that means I'd have to do it every weekend, and I would never get to actually go enjoy it myself. I would just be a part of it.
Right. So if there was one closer, I think in 2023, I would do it.
I think it would be a lot of fun.
Like, I would just be like, what are my hours? What are my commitments? Can I make it work with work?
Yeah.
And I would do it. I think it'd be a really fun experience.
And I think I'd probably do it volunteer. I wouldn't even.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to get paid. Oh no, I wouldn't want to get paid.
I mean, I mean, getting paid is also fun. But I mean, like, but yeah, if it's close by and it's just like something fun, like I think
if it was like a charity or something like that, for sure.
Yeah, I think I would just do it just for the fun of it, like, because I would totally get into it just because I think it'd be fun.
I agree. Yeah, so who knows, if you guys want Scotty and I to dress up and run around and scare people more than we already do, let us know. We're down.
I mean, because
you get the famous people from Friday Nightmares podcast.
Because people, I already have the face for radio, which means that I have the face for scaring people.
Why does everyone love Scott though? Every single person.
Because I'm squishy.
Scotty, Smokeshow. Scotty. Scott gonna come to Australia, Heather? Is Scott gonna give me this? Will Scott be there? Is Scott gonna come? What about Scott? Scott available to record? I get it. I understand what it's like to be in the shadow.
I know. I deal with it all the time. I'm riding your coattails.
Oh, no, you're not. I'm basically riding your fucking coattails. Everyone fucking loves you. I'm like,
I don't know why. I'm just a weirdo.
Heterosexual men just love you. They just do.
I don't know why.
They just like a little fucking Care Bear, and they're just like, they just want to squeeze all the goo out of you. That must be what it is.
It could be, yeah. That very well could be.
Like, everyone loves Scotty. Hashtag Marsha. That's my life. Only Scotty. That's my life. My life here.
Oh, I love it.
With Scotty. So anyway, this concludes episode 64 of Hashtag Everyone Loves Scott. Also known as the Friday Nightmares podcast. As always, we thank you for listening. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Legion Podcast Network. You can just Google Legion Podcast Network and subscribe on any of the major podcast providers. So Spotify, iTunes, Google, I don't know, whatever else is out there. We also have a Legion Patreon that I don't know, maybe one day Scott and I will contribute to again, but there's special content, and it is a $3 fee a month to join, but you can also win codes and other such things. And if you're waiting to join, I just got to know one thing.
Feel like there's something that I gotta say. Oh, that's right. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
That was a moment that all the stereos broke across the world. Oh yeah, it's because we have that many listeners worldwide. We're like Pitbull, international, worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide,
right? So please join Legion Patreon today. In the meantime, we will be back in 2 weeks with another awesome episode, number 65. Johnny 5 is alive. 65. As we kick off spooky season. And
fuck yeah, baby.
And we'll catch you guys then. Anything that you have to say to the good people, Scotty?
As always, thank you very much for listening and putting up with our crazy asses and listening to our opinions, because they are just our opinions. No,
but they're right.
But Heather's are always right. Mine, just take with a grain of salt. We do what you do. But
hey, does your friend that you made that lives far away still listen?
As far as I know, yes.
Oh, what's her name?
Scott.
Regina. Hey, Regina. Thanks for saying I'm funny and that you like me more than Scott. It's nice to know that someone likes me out there. I appreciate that, Regina. Thank you for your support and kindness.
Yes,
thanks to Phil Ray for checking on me too and caring where I was. It's nice that I have 2 fans.
Aw, I love Phil.
I know. Filthy bum.
Well, yeah, so until next time, kiddies, unpleasant dreams.
See ya.